Michigan International Speedway on a warm and humid summer afternoon where there's a little extra buzz of excitement for today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race. After a spectacular debut at Daytona a month ago, the next generation NASCAR Nationwide Series cars back on the track for a second go. At the home track of the Detroit Big Three, the Mustangs, Challengers, and Impalas will take on the Camrys on this big, fast 2-mile track that's long been a favorite of drivers and fans. Last year's race here came down to a spectacular 3-wide finish with local Michigan native Brad Keselowski squeezing past Kyle Busch and Brian Vickers for the win. What'll it be today? Who'll win by a nose in Michigan?
10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition.
ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown for the once-a-year visit by the NASCAR Nationwide Series to the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. It only seems fitting that at the track most of the automakers participating in NASCAR call home, the cars would be the stars of the show. Things like character lines and brand identification on NASCAR's next-generation race car, adding some extra spice to the usual field of star drivers and heated competition that this 2010 season has given us. Final practice for the Sprint Cup cars is finishing up. While they finish dialing in their race cars, we'll keep our attention dialed in on the Nationwide Series, where qualifying finished up not that long ago. Colin Brown, who's had a season that's been quite difficult and challenging at times, ripped off the third quickest time. He'll start inside row number 2 today. The real story was who qualified second. 18-year-old Ryan Truex, making just his second ever Nationwide Series start, will do so from the second position. Great effort for Martin's little brother. But on the pole, to the surprise of few, Michigan native and Nationwide Series championship leader Brad Keselowski, who powered his Penske Dodge to his 5th pole of the season. We'll hear from the pole winner in a bit. First, how about that young kid who's going to start on the front row in his first time in Michigan? 18-year-old Ryan Truex is with Vince Welch.
That's right, AB, and that means Diamond Waltrip Racing missed by just one spot of having the pole position for the 5th race in a row, but a job well done. Your last race was in the NASCAR East Series on a 3/8 mile track, and now you're on a 2-mile track in a nationwide car. Ryan, what's that transition been like for you?
It's been crazy. I've had a lot of fun so far this weekend. Learned a lot, leaned on my brother a lot for advice. And it's just been going great so far. Qualified second, and I'm really happy with that. And just shows how hard everyone's been working back at MWR. And it's been giving us great cars. Trevor's been running good. He's got past 3 poles, and then Marcus got a pole last weekend at Watkins Glen. So we've been running great, having good cars, and that just gives me more confidence coming into it.
I know your brother Martin's been in the garage quite a bit over the course of the weekend. What advice has he given you? Where have you leaned on him this weekend?
He told me it's a little scary, and it definitely was. I came in here the first day, and I was following, I think it was Kyle Busch, and I started letting off in the corner. He just kept on driving her in there, and I thought it was a little crazy to drive it in that far, and then I went into qualifying. I never let off, so it's definitely something I had to learn. You got to learn that the air will hold you here, and you can really lean on it. So been just having fun with it, and we got Napa on with us this weekend, and we got a new sponsor, tow truck and a box. So we're happy to have them on board, and we're just having a great weekend so far.
So far, so good. Ryan Truex will start second. Alan.
All right, Vince, thanks. Let's begin our look ahead to today's race by looking back at the Daytona debut of the Next Generation Nationwide Series car, a debut that was, by most reviews, spectacular. Always a thrill to be at Daytona International Speedway, the debut of the Next Generation race car.
I am so excited to be here at Daytona to see these new looking race cars. It's great for our fans. I'm fired up.
Pace car is off 100 laps ahead as the 2 Dodges from the Penske team bring the field to the green flag. How about this? The 3 car to the lead on the 3rd lap at Daytona.
How appropriate this is.
The new leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr., shuffled by Kyle Busch.
Junior's car makes this pass really look pretty easy. Man, Joey Logano's all over it.
Stenhouse in the mix in the 6 car.
He's had a great run all night.
Here they come to the checkered flag, and Earnhardt is going to drive a number 3 car to victory lane at Daytona again. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins.
I don't know if it's you guys, but that's chills right there.
Tony Jr., I appreciate your work, man. I love winning races with you, buddy.
Man, you know, we lost everything here, and to come back with that number and do this, that means everything.
His father would be extremely proud.
Some great memories on that night, and hoping for some more great memories today here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. A beautiful summer spot. We're set among the rolling hills and lakes. Sits the spectacular Speedway and our ESPN pit studio, where we're waiting on someone to bring us some cake. Inside Alan Bestwick with Big Brad Daugherty and 5-time Michigan winner and birthday boy Rusty Wallace, 39 again, right?
Well, thank you very much. Let's move on.
All right. It is the second race for the next generation Nationwide Series car. Traditionally, you'd expect the Michigan race to be different than a Daytona race. How will this race be different than Daytona, and how might it be similar?
Well, I think the race is going to be a lot different than Daytona because the track's much, much wider, and the drivers really don't know what to expect out of this car yet. I mean, they did have more practice in Daytona than they have had here in Michigan. Now, a lot of the drivers have told me, guys, that this car has an unbelievable closing rate, meaning that if you're behind a car, you can drive up to their bumper awful fast. And they think that that might create some 4-wide racing as these cars get down in the corner. So, Brad, is yet to be seen.
Yeah, I tell you what it is for me. I think it's going to give opportunity to level the playing field. We've been watching these Gibbs Toyotas kick everybody's rear end all year long. I think now you have to throw away all of your notes. You got a fresh platform. It's going to give some of these teams an opportunity to catch up, level that playing field. You still got to beat Joey Logano and Kyle Busch at the end of the day, but hopefully you can race with them a little bit with this new car.
It's going to be interesting to see. We'll talk more about that a little later in the show. New car, old car, this Michigan track, one the drivers have always loved competing on. Why?
The main reason the drivers love coming here because they want to show off to the big three, number one. Number two is they really like the size of the racetrack. This 2-mile track, very wide. Like I mentioned a little while ago, we might see some 4-wide racing, 3-wide. I know we'll see side-by-side racing at least.
Yeah,
the drivers like that.
You're exactly right. And what these guys find throughout the day is that they can find grip at different places. They run their lines, and they try to maximize their speed, and as it falls off, they can search around and find a little grip up high, find a little grip down low. Great racing room like Rusty talked about, but it also gives your car a chance to maintain speed because of those grip patches.
They see 4-wide racing today, and they cut to that camera inside the pit studio. You might see 3 guys standing on their feet.
Oh, yeah, ain't no doubt about that.
Maybe 2 of us, because one of us would bump his head on the ceiling. Coming up, lots more on the Michigan debut of the new Nationwide Series car and why at least one manufacturer says it's rethinking its commitment to the series in a positive way. Andy Petrie gives us a refresher on the differences between the car the series has been racing and the one you'll see today. And Danica Patrick's back for another go with a new car twist thrown in. All that on NASCAR Countdown from Michigan. Goodyear Blimp with us today at the races. Go to Goodyear.com to show your thanks and help support our troops. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. The cars lined up along the grid ready for the second race for the NASCAR Nationwide Series Next Generation car. For a comparison between the car the series has been using and the new car, we sent one of our champion crew chiefs to the shops of one of the series' top teams.
I'm Andy Petrie, and we're here at Penske Racing with Chad Walter, the crew chief for Justin Allgaier. NASCAR is going to run a new car in the Nationwide Series this year, and the car looks quite different.
Yeah, the folks at Dodge have done a really good job, Andy, with the Challenger, something the fans can really relate to when they see Justin Allgaier out on the racetrack.
One of the biggest features that I see is that this car has a splitter on the bottom.
The new Nationwide car, just like their counterparts in the Cup Series, have the splitter this year, which is a real big aid to balancing out and getting front downforce that the drivers are always wanting. And when we hit the racetrack with it, it doesn't just grind away like our old Valences that you see behind us on the old cars.
Chad, let's talk about this area of the car. This is what I call the greenhouse, and I guess we call it a greenhouse because it's the part of the car that has all the windows.
The first order of business was safety for the drivers. We were able to move the driver further away from the door. That's very important for left side impacts. We had a lot of instances with these cars where if we got into a crash or a roll situation where the roll bars, the halo bars over the driver's heads were just getting too close. So what they wanted to do was stand up the windshield, raise the roof of the car, widen out the doors and the windows on the sides, and give these drivers some room in the event of a bad crash.
One thing that stands out that's probably not obvious when you look at it is the wheelbase. It's 5 inches longer on the new car.
The Cup guys are running the 110-inch wheelbase, whereas the Nationwide Series has always run the 105-inch wheelbase, but we're trying to bridge that gap here with this changeover.
When I look at the new car, I see the spoilers are different.
It's a little bit wider along with the race car, and a little bit lower right here in the center, as you see. The simplest reason is the drivers still have to be able to see out this rear view mirror. Now they've made up for some of that spoiler height difference with these winglets on the side. We'll be able to work with this area to try and balance out downforce for the race car drivers.
And speaking of drivers, what are they saying about this new car?
You know, the first comments were a little more front downforce. Really feels, you know, kind of like it really turns well all by itself with good air.
And Andy Petrie is upstairs in the broadcast booth where he's getting ready to call the race with Dale Jarrett and Marty Reed. Andy, first of all, thanks for the tour with Chad. For crew chiefs like Chad Walter, all of the challenges of running this new car at this track for the first time, what are some of the practical challenges they face?
Well, Alan, probably the biggest challenge they face is that splitter he was talking about. The key to performing well with this car is having that splitter absolutely as low as you can on the racetrack without hitting the ground. If you hit the ground, it kills your performance, and if you've got it up just a little bit, you're giving up something. So the thing is, if you can keep that thing down on the ground, that's what the name of the game is. And with the Nationwide car, they don't have bump stops to play with, so they have to do it in another way, and they coil bound the springs to do it, and it's pretty tricky, but it's very important.
Now, Andy, the new car for the Nationwide Series is more like the current Sprint Cup car than the older car is. Info trade back and forth. Does it grow? Does it stay the same? Where's that stand?
Well, Alan, when I was at Penske, the Cup crew chiefs and the Nationwide crew chiefs were all working together. I mean, physically working together on the setup pad with one of the Cup cars. So they have that information sharing going back and forth, and it will be valuable with this new car because it is more like the Cup car. Now, there are some differences that won't apply, but that working together, I believe, is one thing that's going to help this Penske team and all these Cup-affiliated teams get ahead with this new car.
All right, Andy, thanks for the look around at the new car. We'll talk to you a little bit for the race.
Okay, Alan.
Justin Allgaier will drive that Chad Walter prepared Dodge from the 7th starting spot today. He's with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you, Alan. You know, these cars are roomier and they're safer. And if you believe drivers like Justin Allgaier, they're going to be a lot more exciting to watch on the racetrack. Yesterday, you said with a smile, this car reminds you of the NASCAR Camping World truck you drove a couple of years ago. Why does that make you smile?
You know, I think the biggest thing for me is that the drivers really have to drive these things. They're a lot of fun. They move around a lot. You know, yesterday and the day before, we got a little bit of a chance to drive around some of the other cars, and just the way they react and the way that they handle really makes them a lot of fun, and I think that the race today is going to be one of the best ones of the year.
All right, you've had a couple of days in this car. What don't you know about this car that you wish you did?
Driving off into turn one in a field of cars. You know, that's probably the biggest unknown right now for us. Like I said, I got to run a couple of laps with one car around me, but really never, you know, got to run many laps with multiple cars. So obviously we wish we could have started a little farther up front, but Verizon Challenge has been really good. I feel like we got a really good race car, so it's going to be a matter of trying to get by some of these guys early and making sure that we get out there in that clean air, because I think that's what it's going to take to be competitive.
Hey, good luck today.
Thank you.
Alan, excited but a little bit antsy about some of the unknowns with this car.
Doc, thanks. Interesting comments there from Justin that I will also turn and kind of ask the same question to you, Rusty. At this point, what do the drivers know and what don't they know about running this car at this racetrack?
Well, I mean, the things the drivers do know, they know this is a safer car. They know it's a tougher car. I mean, the car is taller, it's wider, it's safer for the driver. And when I said toughness, you see the Sprint Cup guys bouncing these things off the walls all the time, their cars. Well, these Nationwide cars, I think they can do the same thing and get away with it. Now, when it gets down to handling, they don't really know how these cars are going to handle when they get in a mix of 43 cars out there. There's a lot of unknowns with this car, but there's a lot of great things about this car, Brad, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I'm so excited to watch this group pack of these cars get together and see what happens. But I think it's going to be interesting simply because of the bump drafting and the aero situations with these race cars. You're going to see bump drafting. Anytime you have experienced drivers in the field, they're trying to go as fast as they can, and unless you take the steering wheel away from them, they're going to bump draft. Everything else, though, is out the window. The one interesting thing I do like, NASCAR has given them some tunability in this race car by putting these winglets on the spoiler. And what they can do is adjust those things to create either a loose situation, tighten it up, or if you have a tight situation, loosen it up. I pat NASCAR on the back because that gives these guys something to work with on these good-looking race cars.
Don't know if we'll hear terms like aero-tight. Don't know if we'll see the slingshot or not.
Yeah,
Some folks think we might. Be interesting to see how this race unfolds at Michigan today. Now, Andy Petrie mentioned a minute ago, bump stops on the Sprint Cup cars, not on the Nationwide Series cars. A small but critical difference where tuning the chassis is concerned. For more on that, how about a little show and tell in the Craftsman Tech Garage with Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, AB. To control the speed of the car as well as the front downforce, you have to control the height of the front splitter. But in the Cup Series, we simply have the Packers right here. we control the ride height by either adding or taking away these shims. And it's easy to control by 1/8 of an inch. But in the Nationwide Series, what we have, a conventional shock packer. We don't have any packers on here, this area here, but we have the installed inspection height spring, and what that is, it comes down, we compress that spring. We want the spring to look just like this to get the air dam as close as we can, the splitter in this area to the ground. By doing that, we're going to get downforce and speed out of the race car. Alan?
Couple different tuning tools for the teams to get used to. Tim, thanks very much. Speaking of getting used to, Danica Patrick is back on the NASCAR side of her season today, as if figuring out how to wheel one of these stock cars hasn't been challenging enough. Pretty early on in the process, that type of car and how it feels and drives has changed on her. After 5 races in the old Nationwide Series style car, it's the first in the next generation machine for Patrick today. She starts 33rd, Mike Massaro.
And Alan, it has been a season of adjustments for Danica Patrick. The curveball this week, the new Nationwide car. What's it been like?
I actually don't know the difference between the new car and the old car. I was never here before in the old car. It's been a few years since I was here in an Indy car, so I think ignorance might be bliss. Sometimes it's nice to just get used to whatever you need to get used to and not have memories of what could have been in some situations. So for me, that's not a big issue.
You head into your 6th Nationwide race. What's the mindset today?
Well, we had a little hiccup in qualifying. I got a little sideways around 3 and 4, so I think it would have been our best qualifying yet. At that point in time, it was going to be like 9th or something if I would have finished the lap, but instead we're much further back, so the Hot Wheels car has a little ways to go now. So I think my goal is just to try and stay away from going a lap down at the beginning. The further back, the harder. You start further back and then you're closer to the leaders. So, you know, it's going to be important to have a good start and find the line that has the most amount of grip and just keep my foot in it as much as I can.
Best of luck.
Thanks.
And Alan, Danica trying to improve on a career best 24th place finish in Chicago last month.
All right, Mike, thanks. You saw the drop of rain on the camera lens there during the interview.
That's all
I'll tell
there
you
is.
that there are some showers in the area.
One
The
drop.
track is dry at the moment, and we continue. You see the shot from the blimp. Nothing imminent on the racetrack, but we'll be keeping an eye on that radar all afternoon. It could be a factor in this afternoon's race. Up next, the pressure of performing in the boss's hometown and how these new cars are helping one manufacturer shape its racing future when NASCAR Countdown continues from Michigan. The Michigan International Speedway from downtown Detroit. Take I-94 west to US 12, and in the Irish Hills you'll find this fast 2-mile track where the NASCAR Nationwide Series goes racing this afternoon. The interaction between the auto manufacturers and NASCAR racing has changed and evolved over the years, an evolution that continues with this next generation Nationwide Series car. I sat down with Ralph Gillies, the CEO of Dodge, and Roger Penske, one of the country's biggest auto dealers. They think change is good.
Let's talk about develop on Sunday, implement on Monday. How does the technology work from racing to street cars today?
Well, some of the work we've done at Aero, we've been really pushing a lot of aerodynamic development lately in the street cars, and we're actually using some of that technology in the race cars and back and forth. I mean, racing, the Aero's been a big deal now. Downforce has become a big deal with the car of tomorrow. So fusing this technology, and our engineers here are able to trade information back and forth with Mr. Penske's team, and it's amazing.
How important was it to Dodge, from a manufacturer's perspective, this car that's sitting behind you?
This is a dream come true. You know, a car with this kind of look, this really distinctive look, and we happen to make a very distinctive street car to put on this race car, so it works perfectly. It's a manufacturer's dream come true.
You are the Dodge representative in NASCAR racing right now. Advantages, disadvantages of being the guy with that one brand?
Well, I don't look at any disadvantages. We try to look at the advantages, and there's no question that we're getting 100%, 120%, in fact, of the commitment, you know, by Dodge, you know, for our race team. I think that's important, whether it's engine, whether it's aero, whether it's any of the dynamics that we're looking at from the standpoint of simulation. They're right in the middle of it with us. So we're fully committed, they're committed, and I think you've seen the performance on the track in the Nationwide and certainly on the Cup side. I think we're very, very competitive, and that's a byproduct of our relationship with Dodge.
the relationship between manufacturer and race teams and racing. Interesting comments there. Rusty, how has that relationship evolved and changed over recent times?
Well, you always want to have a strong relationship, Alan, with the manufacturers. Number one, they give you a lot of money to be involved with your car. They give you a lot of parts and pieces and tools. Generally, that's what happens between the manufacturers. But you know, really interesting to listen to Ralph Gillies talk about the aerodynamic trading back and forth with the Penske team, how they really learned a lot on their street car, which transferred into the real race car. Usually it's the other way around. Usually it's the real race car guys that'll tell the manufacturers, hey, we learned something that might help your street car. But this time, really impressed with what they got to say, and really impressed that they're this excited about this new car.
Yeah, with Roger Penske's just tremendous past and history in the automobile business as well as in racing, he is the perfect guy for that Dodge template to be an individual team. Usually you need multiple teams to share resources. And what I heard there is really interesting, because I'm hearing that NASCAR is very, very important to our economy, simply because the automobile industry is so important to what we do. The domestic automobile dealers are so important to the American economy. NASCAR is a big part of that, so it's intertwined. I like what I heard there, and I think it's a very, very positive sign for this sport.
There was a teleconference with reporters on Tuesday featuring, again, Roger Penske and Ralph Gillies, the CEO of Dodge. And one of the things that Mr. Gillies said really piqued my interest. He talked about how that the reaction that Dodge got from this Challenger race car's debut at Daytona was so strong that it's made them maybe rethink a little bit how they spend some of their racing dollars next year, because that brand identification was such an important thing. You heard him say in the piece there, it was a dream come true for them.
It's a dream come through for the Nationwide Series. I got to tell you, I questioned this car when they first talked about it, but looking at the front of these cars, whether it's a Toyota or the Dodge or the Chevy or whatever, they're beautiful cars. They look like the street cars. And I hope that all these manufacturers will put more money and more effort and more attention now into the Nationwide Series, because this car is one cool looking car.
Yeah, you heard Mr. Gillies talk about this as being a manufacturer's dream come true, and he is 100% right. I'm like Rusty. When I first heard about this car, I was worried about cost and those types of things. But now that I see this, it really inspires me, and it encourages me to be more of a participant. I really love watching these race cars, and I'm so excited about the future of NASCAR and these cars at both levels eventually.
Going to be interesting to see as it evolves. And again, this car comes full-time in the series in 2011. Let's go back trackside now and hear from more of the drivers getting ready to go. Vince, who you with?
With Jason Leffler, who will start fourth today. And Jason, we talked so much about the new car, and of course it's the second running of the new car. I ran it at Daytona earlier this summer, but it's a lot different for the drivers here as compared to Daytona. Why?
Well, I mean, obviously it's our second race. We've had time to work on them, but you know, you go to Daytona, NASCAR mandates your rear springs, your spring rate in the rear, mandate your rear shock. So we come here, we can put the springs in the back we'd like. We get the aero platform closer to where it needs to be, and the car's more stable. So the Great Clips Old Navy back to school special is really fast. We start fourth. Got a little different look, obviously, with the new car, and we got a new paint job. We got Old Navy on there. So if you go get your haircut at Great Clips, you get a coupon for some Old Navy clothes. So go get your haircut and get a coupon, get some clothes, and hopefully we'll get this thing to victory lane.
Yeah, when you go to Great Clips, ask for that Jason Leffler cut, too. That'll be a good look for you back to school. Jason Leffler starts fourth today. Dave Burns?
Yeah, Vince, I know I need a haircut, but I don't know if I'm going there quite yet. Colin Brown, this is his first time with the new car. Didn't get to race at Daytona, so what's your experience been like, and what do you expect today at Michigan?
Well, it's going to be a great race for us, I think. This number 16 Conway Freight Ford Mustang was fast when we unrolled it off the truck, and the guys at the shop take a lot of credit for that. They did a lot of good work on this car, and my crew chief, Ricky Vires, really worked on this car the whole time in practice, made a lot of changes to it. So really happy to qualify up there in third, and hopefully we can put a good show on for all these Conway fans here and Ford fans. It's going to be a great race, and want to say hi to Bill Wynn at home. Hope he's getting better.
All right, hopefully it'll be a great show for Colin today. Alan?
Thank you, David. Getting ready for driver introductions to begin before today's NASCAR Nationwide Series 250-miler at the Michigan International Speedway. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues tomorrow night with a battle of NL East rivals from Citi Field. Raul Ibanez and the Phillies take on David Wright and the New York Mets on ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern. Game also available on ESPN3.com. The Michigan International Speedway, home today of ESPN's NASCAR Nationwide Series action. The second race for the next generation car to play out over this giant 2-mile track. 45 minutes from now is the green flag. Kyle Busch starts 10th in today's race. Kyle broke 9 records in the Nationwide Series last season en route to winning the championship, his first in this series. He may break a few more records this year. In 2009, Busch led 21 consecutive races, a mark he's tracking down this year. He's led all 18 races he's entered so far. At New Hampshire, Busch set the record for most career laps led in the series, passing Mark Martin for the top spot in that category. It would appear Kyle's also on the way to breaking the record he shares with Sam Ard for most wins in a season. 10 is the number. Kyle already has won 9 this year in 18 tries. I touched on it before. Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs Racing have dominated these 1.5 and 2 mile intermediate tracks now for the past couple of years in this series. A lot of teams are hoping the change to the next generation car will bring them back to the pack a little bit. I know you were saying before you're hoping so.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping it levels the playing field some. But then, you know, at the end of the day, Joey Logano and Kyle Busch are two of our most talented athletes that we have in this sport, and that always rises to the top. But I'm hoping some of these young guys get an opportunity to get up with these empty notebooks and mix it up with these guys a little bit, make the racing just a little more exciting because they're players.
And you hit the nail on the head right there when you said an empty notebook. Nobody's got a notebook on this particular car. And the Gibbs guy, hey, you got to pat him on the back for being so good with that old car. They work really hard to get that old car dominant like it is right now. Well, that's all gone. And like you said, Alan, I mean, me being a team owner, you being a team owner, a lot of people out there going, hey, we hope this can be the same for everybody when it comes to the notebook session, that we can all get better, and we can all catch those guys. It's a big, big change here today at Michigan with this new car. Much different from what we saw at Daytona. This is going to be a good snapshot of what we think is going to happen here.
Give them credit for what they've done.
Absolutely,
sure.
yes.
Yeah, man, got to.
But we'll see how it goes from here. Joey Logano has been Kyle Busch's fiercest rival on the track in the Nationwide Series races they've run together 7 times. They've run 1-2 in the Nationwide Series, the most recent being at Chicagoland Speedway on July the 9th. Today, Logano starts in 9th position. Mike Massaro.
And he had a pretty good debut in that new Nationwide car, second at Daytona. But in terms of feel, how does this car compare today to the one you had in July in Daytona?
Well, I mean, it's definitely 2 different racetracks, obviously, but you know, I feel like JGR right now with the new Nationwide car, we're a little bit off, I think, with the front springs and trying to get that just right to where we need to get it. So we're working on it. I know we got a whole new package in that we haven't tried in practice. So I think it's a little bit better just going off qualifying lap. It seemed like we qualified a little bit better than I thought. So we got our work cut out for us today in the GameStop Toyota, but you know, these guys are, all the guys at Joe Gibbs Racing are really smart and hard workers, and I know they'll figure it out. So we got the whole race today to get it, and hopefully we got it right by the end.
And the race will be conducted under overcast skies. How do you think that'll impact the racing?
Yeah, I think we got a chance of rain too, so you know, this place definitely seems like when the sun comes out, it loses a ton of grip. Lap time drops up a lot, and you know, it seems like it frees up a lot. So you know, either way, I'm not sure what we're going to have, whether it's sunny or overcast like it is. So it's just going to be interesting the first few laps. I think it's going to be a fun race, though. I think you know, as big of a hole these things punch in the air. The draft, I just noticed in practice how big the draft is. When you get 2 cars side by side, that third car is going to be really hauling the mail, so that's going to be interesting.
Well, Alan, whether he knows what to expect or not, it seems like he doesn't have any problem adapting. In 14 races this year, he's finished outside the top 10 just once.
I'm hearing that word unknown a lot, Mike, from these people. This could make for a very fun and interesting race. Up next, Brad Keselowski, a Michigan native and the defending winner of this race. Brad talks about the bumps in the road he's taken and why, in his own words.
There is always give and take in racing. There will always be, and there's nothing wrong with give and take. But you can't confuse give and take with allowing yourself to be bullied.
That when NASCAR Countdown continues.
I know what you meant.
From what we hope is the sun and fun of the Irish Hills in Michigan. ESPN's exclusive coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series comes to you from Michigan International Speedway outside of Detroit, where the green flag waves on a 250-mile race shortly. 1 year ago in this race, a home state driver came out on top in what was a thrilling finish. On a picture-perfect summer day, we bring you the Carfax 250 from the Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan.
Pace cars off. Ready, green, green, green.
Save it.
I think that's it for the day, guys.
He's out of the race. He'll finish 40th today. Back and forth and back and forth.
These two leaders get together. Keselowski could take advantage of it. Whoa, really? Here it comes loose. Keselowski's going to get the momentum off 4, guys. And Brad Keselowski's going to win it.
How about that, GoDaddy? That's how you do it. Whoa, yeah.
Brian Victor's trying to win the race. He didn't do anything wrong.
He hung up my right rear quarter panel. I'm sure I'm complaining and I'm whining and I'm a crybaby, but that's uncalled for. I mean, it's just stupid.
I am so sorry. I forgot it was the Kyle Busch show. Hell, I thought we were racing for a win.
That was one happy young man right there.
Oh my God, I won at home. I don't know what you guys saw, but it looked like one heck of a show.
Now, that was quite a finish and quite a win for Brad Keselowski, who's from Rochester Hills, Michigan, a Detroit suburb. The third-generation racer is a 26-year-old a lot of fans and his fellow drivers are getting to know on and off the track.
I feel like I'm proving myself every time I get in a race car. And when the day comes, I don't feel like I have something to prove. That's when I lose interest in the sport. I think that there are 2 different personalities that I carry, and they come out in different ways. I still have that quiet side. In my private life, I don't mind not being the center of attention, but the racing world brings out like that next step in me, that step that is confident, passionate, but you have to know how to let that fuel you. Yeah! If you drove with emotion all throughout a race, trying to get 100% every lap, you're gonna knock the wall down at lap 30 and nobody's gonna know who you are. They're just gonna laugh at you. When I first got into running the Nationwide car, or even in the truck series, I got pushed around a lot. I found that when I stopped allowing that to happen, I became more successful. If the penalty for being too passionate is, making a few people mad along the way, I would much rather take that than take the thought of, I didn't care.
Oh, he turns Hamlin. Gets into Hamlin.
Go low, come on, go low, go low.
Look out. Remember, these guys have history from before.
There is always give and take in racing. Will always be, and there's nothing wrong with give and take. But you can't confuse give and take with allowing yourself to be bullied.
Boy, Keselowski's team is mad at the 20 team for swerving into him. A lot of heat right there.
I feel like I have an appreciation for my competitors and a respect for them that sometimes they don't see. If you're always worried about the respect of your competitors, you're never going to be able to run up front, to be able to win, and you're not going to be genuine to yourself or to your team. Of course I care what people think, absolutely. I don't want to make my competitors angry, but at the same side, you have to understand that the only time they're going to be happy with you is when they're beating you.
Big time crash there from Brad Keselowski. I think this was Carl Edwards' payback for what happened earlier in this race.
There's a part of me that looks at Atlanta and thinks of it as collateral damage to an attitude that I have towards racing.
I think we probably won't have as many run-ins now as we've had in the past, and that's a good thing.
To say that I had it coming in more than any other race car driver, I think is probably not an objective view. We're all looking out for our own well-being. So to go out of your way to ruin somebody else's day is to completely sacrifice your own well-being. When you are willing to tear down your own house just to try to get to somebody else's, that is the epitome of defeat. There is no doubt in my mind that the way that I'm doing things in this sport is the hard way. But I feel like it will pay off. It might not pay off tomorrow or this year or even the year after next. But I feel really good that it will pay off in the long run. To have the fans, approval or enthusiasm makes me feel like it's worth it and adds its own swagger to you. Like, everything along the way that I did made it worth it. And I carry that with me. I think that's been a large part to the confidence that I have. I don't think I want to be like all the other drivers. Somebody said the other day, I like Brad because he's not a vanilla driver. And I thought, man, that's pretty cool. You're right, I'm not vanilla. I'm more like the Neapolitan ice cream. I have a little bit of vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate in me. And you never know which side is going to come out.
Well, you remember the feature started with Brad Keselowski winning here last year for the local boy. That was pretty big. Can anything match that today?
Winning again would be cool, What a dream weekend so far. I've had a lot of fun at home with family and friends. Got to go to Michigan football camp, hang out with the boys over there, and come over here to Speedway, qualify on the pole. Our Dodge Challenger is so fast, it's scary. And, I just humbled by this weekend. What a great weekend, and hopefully we can finish it off on the nationwide side by winning today and have a strong run tomorrow on the Cup side.
You guys have had just as much time as everybody else with this race car. How did Paul and the guys get it so right?
I don't know. They're just that amazing. You're right. Paul Wolf, my nationwide crew chief, he's just one heck of a racer, and this race car is just more than I could ask for.
All right, how'd you like to be our in-race reporter?
Let's do it.
Okay, so Brad is our in-race reporter. We set that up ahead of time, actually. If you want to ask him a question that may be used during the race today, log on to ESPN.com, search Ask the Driver, write it out, and then if they ask you, you got to answer it.
I'll answer. I'm good about it,
okay.
Usually.
Brad's good for that. Alan?
All right. Brad Keselowski, defending winner of this race, getting ready to lead this field to the green flag. Rusty, you're very close to Roger Penske. What was it told him Brad was the guy for his team?
Well, we talked about Paul Wolf being a true racer. Did you hear that part?
Yep.
I mean, Brad Keselowski is a true racer. That's all he knows. He grew up racing, and he loves it. He's passionate about it. I talked to Roger Penske. He said, man, this guy's very involved at the race shop, too. Shows up at the shop all the time, really cares about the team, and he's very, very grateful to the opportunity he's got. He's constantly thanking people and just going around patting everybody in the back and trying to be part of the team. But above all, he just drives hard.
Yeah.
He's just a hard driver, and case in point, how good he did last year in Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s nationwide car. That really did wake up Roger Penske. But Roger learned a lot more about Brad after he hired him.
Penske wasn't even planning on running a nationwide effort for Brad Keselowski this year. He's leading the championship by a bunch. It might turn out to be an okay thing. Brad has had some perception and reception problems among some of his competitors. Yeah. Has that changed over the last year or so?
It has changed. And I'll tell you, I talked to a lot of his competitors, and it's been interesting. The guys he's had some run-ins with, they all look at Brad and they say, well, he's a very, very competitive guy. We think he's fit in a little bit better over the last few weeks, and he's trying to, temper himself a little bit better. But the guys who sit back and watch and haven't had run-ins with him, they all respect Brad simply because of his ability to race hard. They've looked at Brad Keselowski, and he is the template. He came up through the Truck Series, into the Nationwide Series, then to the Cup Series. So what he has done is he has paid his dues. And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people in that garage area that have a lot of respect for Brad Keselowski.
All right, well, I mentioned the huge lead that Brad Keselowski has in the Nationwide Series Championship. How about 327 points over second place Carl Edwards?
Oh, man.
That's like leading by 10 games going into September in baseball.
Wow.
Still plenty of racing to go, but something pretty unusual is going to have to happen for Keselowski not to be king this season. Carl Edwards, for his part, starts 14th today, and he's looking to score another Michigan win for his team owner, Jack Roush, Vince.
Well, what a special win it would be, too, if Carl could get the victory for Jack Roush here this weekend, and, of course, in the motor capital as well. And you were number one in the first practice, turned the fastest lap of all the practice laps in that first practice session. How close are you with that with your race car?
Well, the good thing is that the clouds are out. The conditions are a lot like that the beginning of that practice session on Thursday. So we're hoping that this Valvoline Mustang is fast again. As it was the best it was when we unloaded, and that's a testament to the guys back at the shop. But just pretty excited about this race. I think it's going to be really, really crazy. I mean, the car is really draft, so you're going to have a Daytona-like draft down the straightaways, and everybody's going to spread out in the corners. And if I can play my cards right, maybe we can get that Valvoline Mustang to victory lane.
There's been a lot of talk about what you might not know coming into this race. What's the unknown for you as you get ready to start this race?
Really, the unknown is how to complete a pass. I haven't passed anyone in this car yet, and I'm hoping to pass some people, and I just don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if you're going to want to go on the outside of people and get them loose, or if you're going to want to dive under them and get a run. But I have a feeling it'll be exciting watching us figure it out. Hopefully it's not too disastrous.
Yeah, I'm guessing Carl's going to get it figured out before the end of the day, Alan.
All right, it'd be fun to watch, that's for sure. Thanks, Vince. Jack Roush was released from the hospital on Wednesday and returned to the racetrack on Friday, walking through the garage to see his drivers like Carl and his teams just 2.5 weeks after the crash of a plane he was piloting at a Wisconsin aviation event. Roush spoke with reporters about what happened and the effect it will have on him long term.
On a trip on arrival into Oshkosh, Wisconsin, I was put in conflict with the flight path of another airplane close to the ground, and I was unable to address the conflict and keep the airplane flying. And so I ground looped the airplane, and I got a compression fracture in my back. I got some damage to my left eye, and I've got damage to my left cheek. And but I'll recover everything but the side of my left eye.
Certainly great to see Jack Roush back at the racetrack. Can one of his cars win at this place that's so important to him, and at a track where fuel mileage and strategy often come into play? How will the new factor of the new car factor in?
Oh,
I don't know. We'll
Nobody
talk about
knows.
it next.
Oh, it didn't even know it.
Michigan International Speedway, designed by Charles Moneypenny, the same man who designed the Daytona International Speedway. Today, MIS hosting the NASCAR Nationwide Series for the 19th time. Green flag 25 minutes away. We go back trackside to hear from the 2003 winner of this race, Kevin Harvick. Starts 15th, Mike.
And Alan, while he'll start 15th, he's been at or at least near the top of the speed chart in just about every practice this weekend. Seems like a really good race car in race trim. What's it like going into this race knowing you've got a pretty strong piece?
Well, we feel like we have a really good Jimmy John Chevrolet. Obviously, we needed to pay a little bit more attention to qualifying, just way loose. But the car drives really good, so it should be fine.
There's been a lot of practice this week, but one thing we really didn't see a lot of, cars out there in packs. How do you expect this car to react when you're in traffic?
Well, it shouldn't take as long as inspection to figure out what's going on, but I think they'll drive fine. I think they're going to suck up well. I think they're going to, do all the things that you want them to do. So it should be fun to race. So I think everybody's looking forward to it.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Hey, Doc, Kevin Harvick looking for his third win of 2010.
And how about a third win at Michigan for this guy? Ryan Newman has won it twice here. You won it from the front row, and you won it almost from the back row back in 38th position. What's the key to your success at this place?
It's a wide open racetrack, and both with the carburetor and with width to be able to race. And it's just a fun racetrack to be able to come here, and you'll see us going 3, 4, 5 wide sometimes. So just having a fast race car, a lot of horsepower makes you get down the straightaways here. And so much of what we have with this package is about keeping your foot to the floor. So keeping that corner speed up is going to be huge.
You mentioned this package. How similar is the handling of this new Nationwide car to what you drive on Sunday in the Cup Garage?
It's closer than it was before with the other car for sure, but it's still quite a bit different. Just the biggest thing is the power. The cars you can run differently, drive them differently because you don't have the power to pull the back end of the car around basically. So you can run a little bit more on the edge, a little farther through the corner than you can with a Cup car.
Hey, have some fun today.
Thank you. We'll try.
All right, Alan, the Rocket Man starts 5th.
All right, Doc, now something else as we get into our what to watch for today. Something new to watch for on pit road. Look at that spoiler. One ear, as they call it, on the right side of the car. And then there's another spoiler that's got 2 ears on the car. A tuning tool NASCAR has given the teams with this new Nationwide Series Next Generation machine. For more on that, let's go back to the Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. We talked about the downforce on the front of the car. Well, let's talk about the downforce on the rear of the car. You can actually run the spoiler just like this, but this racetrack demands a lot of grip. So you've got the advantage of coming back and bolting 1 inch additional lip right here on the spoiler, or you can come up to 2 inches. But on the other side, you might want to just run 1 inch, but by putting 2 inches over here on this particular side of the spoiler, it increases the side force, meaning when you turn into the corner. But what you're giving up is drag. Anytime you put additional height to the rear spoiler, the engine has to work a lot harder down the straightaway, so it's a big compromise here in Michigan.
So watch for how many ears your favorite driver's race cars got on the back of that spoiler throughout the day. Thank you, Mr. Brewer. And don't be surprised if you see some teams taking off or adding those ears on pit stops. A new little wrinkle with this next generation car here at Michigan. All right, a couple other things about this race to watch for. Typically, these Michigan races, we don't see a lot of cautions. Why?
The track is so wide, and there's so much real estate, so much room out here that generally we don't see crashes because they don't get that close together. Now, we might see a lot different today because these cars got so much of a draft effect and closing rate down the straightaways that I really think they're going to catch each other going into the corners and fan out and maybe be 3 and 4 wide.
The wide racetrack.
It caused a crash.
And lack of cautions, generally leading to green flag pit stops. Now, if we see green flag pit stops, extra pressure on the crew. Why?
Well, you've got to make that decision. Are you going to take 2 or are you going to take 4? And the big deal with that is always trying to keep that track position. I've been watching this sport for 30 years, and this year I have never seen as many two-tire stops as I have that led to wins. So I guess if it comes down to it, you got to take 2 tires just so you can maintain track position, give yourself a shot at that checkered flag.
I'm really fascinated throughout our countdown show so far to hear the interviews we've done with the drivers, to hear them discuss the unknown. Yeah. Carl Edwards, I don't know how to make a pass.
Yeah.
Other drivers, we really haven't been in traffic. I don't know what the car is going to be like when I'm up behind someone or when someone's up behind me. What's it going to be like for some of these guys? I mean, they're all showing calm and cool on the surface, but really, when they strap in here in a minute, what's it going to be like to sail off in that pack for the first time?
Well, the answer again is I don't know. It's going to be I don't know. But one thing they're looking forward to is getting down into turn 1 and feel what it feels like. I mean, and as the race goes on, when they get below a car trying to make a pass, will the car still get really, really loose? But let's switch gears a second, Al, and go to the crew chief end of it. The crew chiefs really don't know what the fuel mileage is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, these cars are picking up so much RPM into straightaways, losing so much in the corners, and when they're by themselves, they don't turn as many RPMs, and when they're around a car, they turn a lot more, so it's really going to move the fuel mileage numbers around from run to run. That's a big unknown right there.
I just saw Ryan Truex stand there talking to his big brother Martin, and he didn't look real confident about this. And I'm just kidding. It's going to be fun to watch him starting second.
Cool picture.
Young man is 18 years of age. He's driving a race car that he doesn't know a whole lot about, just like everyone else in the field, and he's got to hold that baby and keep it up front and lead this pack into the corner.
So the element of the unknown, the big question as we get ready to send these cars off into 250 miles of racing here at Michigan. Our J-Ski News and Notes quickly. Number Tracks announced their dates on the Sprint Cup schedule for next season. The Nationwide Series schedule to be unveiled on Wednesday. Hearing among the changes, Iowa Speedway gets a second race. And a surprise change, Joey Chitwood named president of Daytona International Speedway, effective immediately. Opening ceremonies next. 3 home today to the Carfax 250 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, the second event for the next generation car. Actually, it's quite a busy sports scene in Michigan. The Maize and Blue practicing up the road in Ann Arbor. The Lions play their preseason opener tonight. The Tigers are in a pennant race. But here at the track, it's all about the fast cars and the men and women who will wield them. 43 drivers ready to go on this 2-mile track, 1 to take home the trophy at the end of the day. Let's go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Delivering today's invocation, Pastor Doug Bradshaw from Williamston Free Methodist Church.
Let's pray. Thank you, God, for this great day to go racing. We ask that you would protect each driver and each crew member. We ask that you would protect and guide those men and women who defend our freedom both in this country and around the world. And today, God, we pray for all the first responders, those men and women who risk their own lives to come to our aid. And we pray for those 6 Detroit firefighters who today are recovering from their injuries yesterday sustained. Be with them. We praise you for this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
And now for our national anthem, please welcome Grand Rapids, Michigan's Mike Quick.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Very nice. So as the drivers begin to buckle in, let me mention again the weather. There is a 40% chance of a shower or thunderstorm through the day. We'll keep an eye on it and keep you posted if weather could get to affecting this race. Getting set for the engines to fire at Michigan next.
Carfax 250 at Michigan is brought to you by Carfax. Free at your used car dealer. Just say, show me the Carfax. And Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win a Roush Ford Mustang.
The Michigan International Speedway and the Rolling Irish Hills, where the second race for the next generation NASCAR Nationwide Series car is about to begin. The Dodge Challenger, Ford Mustang, Chevy Impala, and Toyota Camry all shined up and ready to let those ponies run around this 2-mile track. Pony cars, muscle cars, whatever you want to call them, they look great. They raced great at Daytona, and we're expecting a great race today here at Michigan. Question is, we just can't exactly tell you how it's going to unfold because the element of the unknown is going to be big in this one. We do know, though, that our 3 men in the booth are all ready to bring you the unknown. Marty Reed, Andy Petrie, and 4-time Michigan winner Dale Jarrett. Gentlemen, you have answers to some of these questions?
Well, we're going to try. As Alan, we take a look at the top 8 qualifiers. 6 are nationwide regulars. We haven't seen that in an awfully long time.
Well, Marty, this car is supposed to be the great equalizer, and so far it looks like it may be. If you're not a Joe Gibbs team, you wanted this to happen. I mean, they have really figured that old car out really good, and now that we've got this new car, some other teams have a little bit of hope that they can go in there without having any notes to go by, and nobody having any, that they can have a car that can go out here and win.
Yeah, it'd be great to see these young guys be able to stay up there all day long and race hard with this new car. I think it's been very intriguing to listen during the Countdown show and see how many of these guys really don't know what to expect with this. That should be fun for us.
But there is a big difference between 2 laps of qualifying and 125 in the race. What's going to unfold?
I think experience is going to play out to be the one thing that these guys aren't going to be able to overcome maybe in doing that. You see guys like Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and our pole sitter Brad Keselowski who have that experience to get it done. I think we look at them being back up front again.
And, you know, we got a bunch of guys that can win, and guys, some young guys like Trevor Bayne and Colin Brown and those guys. I feel like this might be the best opportunity for Trevor Bayne to get a win.
All right, let me put you on the spot. Who has the best finish? We have an 18-year-old Ryan Truex. We have Colin Brown at age 21, Trevor Bayne at 19. Who gets the best finish out of those?
Well, already went. I think it's Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. Trevor Bayne, he's been doing an awfully good job in that race car. I'd look for him to be up front all day.
Well, and one other person, obviously, a lot of fans around the country will be watching, will be Danica Patrick. As you know, she's going to be starting a little bit further back in 33rd position. So all the questions about to get answered as we're about to get ready to get this race underway here at Michigan International Speedway. There are the 43 cars that made it through qualifying, even though it did take a little longer because of all the technical ramifications. Let's go trackside right now.
And now, race fans, here were the most famous words in motorsports. Your Grand Marshals, Mike Stamm and Saving Abel.
Drivers, start your engine! Crank it up. Copy the front.
Clear. Driver, you got us. Give us a shout out. The Roush cars have no battling on the left side.
An interesting way to give the command by the group, Saving Abel. And our in-race reporter, well, the guy who picked up right where he left off last year. Brad Keselowski won this race. Remember, he did it on a last lap pass. He won the pole in Daytona for the new car. It's his 5th of the year, 8th of his career. He's going to be our in-race reporter, and let's talk to him, DJ.
Hey, Brad, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, buddy, you said in the Countdown show for him to ask you a question. You need to be ready to answer it. And David in Tampa, Florida asked, this being the second time you drive the new Nationwide Series car, how difficult do you think it will be to go from Daytona to Michigan?
Well, definitely a difficult transition. You know, the one thing about Michigan, though, is it's a little bit of a drag track. And Daytona, of course, is a lot of a drag track as far as what it takes to be fast. So some carry over, but not all. The real test is going to be when we get to the Richmonds and those places. But then here again at Michigan, as the tires fall off, it's going to be about handling. So we're really going to see the best cars show up after about 15 to 20 laps on their tires.
Hey, Brad, we saw a great finish last year in this race, one I know that you're very fond of, but not knowing exactly what you can and can't do with this car, can we anticipate maybe you getting back and seeing how easily it's going to be to pass and where you can make that pass, or you just plan to lead all 125 laps?
Well, I think if you can lead every lap, that's what you need to do. You can kind of dictate the race when you're up front. You can dictate pit strategy, and you can stay out of trouble. So if we can, I'll keep my discount tire Dodge up front every lap.
Okay, buddy, good luck with that plan. Have a great day. And Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Paul Wolf.
Hey, Paul, Andy Petrie in the booth. Have you got us?
Yeah, loud and clear, Andy.
Hey, Paul, if Brad's not able to keep that car up front all day and you need to make an adjustment, exactly how will you adjust this new car?
Well, it's definitely going to be a learning day for us. You know, it's going to take a little different adjustment probably than the old car, but just really excited to have this new Dodge Challenger. We're 2 for 2 here in qualifying. We just got to work hard all day and try to close the deal here and get us to victory lane.
Okay, Paul, good luck today. Thanks for talking to us.
All right, thanks, Andy.
And our over-the-wall reporter today is going to be Rick Yeomans. He's the rear tire changer in the 01 for Mike Wallace. There he is. Hey, Rick, got a question for you. Any unique characteristics on this new car that affect you guys down on pit road?
Well, actually, we have a lot more room on these cars. There's a 5-inch longer wheelbase, more room for the fueler, nice wide open wheel openings. As soon as we get used to these longer studs, I think they're going to get quick.
All right, very interesting. You be safe down there. Have a great day. Thanks for
you too.
Talking to us. There's Mike Wallace as he's getting ready to roll out as the cars have just begun to roll off pit road. And we'll step aside, and when we come back, we'll get this race underway here at Michigan. Well, last week we were on the 2.45-mile road course of Watkins Glen, and this week, well, we're going to shift locations, get back onto the ovals as we zoom in on Brooklyn, Michigan, and there's the unique characteristics of Michigan International Speedway. And across the top of the screen, we'll put across the starting grid, and obviously it's the first Dodge pole here at Michigan, and there have been no repeat pole winners in 19 races. And there's young 18-year-old Ryan Truex on the outside of row number 1. Johnny Chapman was the only car that did not qualify. 3 are going to the rear. The 66 is Stephen Wallace, and 07 of Danny Eflin for engine changes, and the 28 of Kenny Wallace for unapproved adjustments. Here are our onboard cameras: Danica Patrick, Justin Allgaier, Colin Brown, Kyle Busch looking for win number 10, Brad Keselowski from the point, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, and Stephen Wallace. Let's get our final updates from pit road. Doc, you're up.
Thank you, Marty. We've established this is only the second time these nationwide cars have ever run here, but and although we're here all day Thursday for practice, one thing they didn't do is run together in large groups. So the big question in the garage area, what's going to happen when they cluster? That's an engineering term for getting everyone together in the draft. When they get a big group in the draft here today, will they snap loose, or will they be very, very tight and hard to turn? We're all going to find out together. Vince?
Well, normally there's one thing you know about a nationwide race, and that's the guy you've got to beat is Kyle Busch. He's won 9 times this season, and he's won 6 of the last 8. But Busch has struggled a little bit here this week, from wicked tight to wicked loose, and in qualifying they were on the splitter a little bit, and they qualified 10th quickest. Crew Chief Jason Ratcliffe just told me we've got to be careful with that splitter. We're going to take a look at it right away early in the race. Mike?
Inspiration. It's certainly something the 60 team and Carl Edwards have today. Just 2 weeks after his plane crash, team owner Jack Roush is back at the racetrack. In fact, he addressed the team last evening during a dinner, during which crew chief Drew Blickensderfer, just out of concern, approached him and asked him simply, "How are you, Jack?" Jack's response, "How's the race car?" The priority still very much to win here. And good news for Blickensderfer, he was able to tell Roush, the car's real good, Dave.
And Mike, what does Joey Logano know for sure? Well, he knew it was going to be a late night for his crew chief, Kevin Kidd, as he went to work on ideas to make a race car better that wasn't as good as everybody else's in practice. Now, you heard Joey in Countdown say it was better based on the qualifying laps, but he still wasn't quite sure exactly what he's got with this quote-unquote whole new package. But if you want to do the math, at Daytona he qualified the new car 10th and picked up 8 positions to finish 2nd. Here he qualified 9th. -8, That'd be number 1, Marty.
And while we've got a brief moment, all three of us up topside here also want to welcome back Jack Roush. I mean, it was great to see him around the garage area.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a fixture that we all want to see back around for many years to come.
And you're concerned about his race cars.
That's right, always is.
All right, let's take a look at the track facts because, as we said, we're going to go 125 laps here. That's 250 miles. Pit road speed, 55 miles an hour. The pit window, somewhere between 41 to 44 laps. And there's the banking in the corners, 18 degrees. We talked about young Colin Brown, 21 years old. Let's listen in on his communications.
Man, thank you everyone for all the hard work. I know this week wasn't easy. A lot of effort by a lot of people. I really appreciate all the work you guys have done. Thanks to all the Conway Freight guys for coming out and supporting us. This is gonna be a great race for us. I know qualifying up front makes our life a lot easier. So I sure appreciate all the effort. I wouldn't be driving anybody else's car than you guys. I love driving for you. Thank you.
Well, the Roush Fenway team has an outstanding record here in all three touring series, a total of 20 wins.
They know how to get the job done, and that young man, again, very appreciative of all the hard work and effort it takes each and every week by these teams to get them out here and give them a good car.
Cars heading into turn number 4. Remember last year, a last lap pass by Brad Keselowski to take the win. It was a hometown victory for him. His birthplace, Rochester Hills, where he grew up, just 92 miles northeast of here at Michigan International Speedway. You're on board with him. And how big is the lump in Ryan Truex's throat right now at age 18? All he sees in front of him is wide open track, and to his left, the points leader in the NASCAR Nationwide Series as they come down towards the starting line. The 23rd race of the 2010 season, the Carfax 250 is green. Oh, we're going to try 3 wide already. That's Menard on the low side. Kyle Busch through the middle, gets past Menard. Now he's trying to go past Trevor Bayne. Remember, he started 10th. Look at this. He is coming fast.
Perfect example of what these guys have been talking about, this draft work. And there's Kyle Busch all the way to the bottom, going for that 5th spot.
Menard says, I got to try and catch up, and he can't do it.
You see Justin Allgaier caught in the middle also. It's kind of like Daytona. If you get caught in the middle on that back straightaway, he just went straight backward.
Carl Edwards trying to find a spot. Trevor Bayne's in a very uncomfortable position. He's in the middle of that.
These guys right now are in a situation with these cars they have not been in. They have no idea how they might react. That's not stopping them from trying a lot of stuff early on.
First lap. If it stays like this is going to be a great race. Joey Logano trying to get underneath the 60 of Carl Edwards. There's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Here comes the 11 of Brian Scott.
Well, look at that draft. You see it, the 62 car, Brendan Gaughan, just really closed the gap. Now they're 3 wide getting in the corner.
That's Paul Menard on the low side. And on the high side, the number 1 of Ryan Newman.
See, Paul Menard was able to pull out from behind those 2 cars going into the corner and then make the pass on both of them before they exit of turn 4.
On board with Kevin Harvick there for a moment. Harvick in 17th right now.
Contact there.
Yeah.
See how rough the racetrack was right there on the front straightaway. Ryan Newman's car bounced really hard. These cars don't have bump stops, so and he hits a wall too.
So he's
coming off 2.
Got contact twice now, and the right side of the car saying ouch.
We heard Rusty Wallace talk about how durable these cars are, where they are in the Sprint Cup Series. We'll find out just how much so here in the Nationwide Series.
I'm sure Ryan's crew chief, Nick Harrison, saying, hey, don't try and knock the wall down yet. Let's go back. Here's the first contact with Ryan.
Yeah, I think right there what you're trying to do is just move up a little bit to take some air away from that car and get him to crack the throttle. See, then he lost the nose a little bit coming out of turn 2, being right on the bumper of Paul Menard. That got him into the safer barrier.
There's a nice square hit, though. It looks like it might be okay if he doesn't have a tire rub.
And it looked like Allgaier was having a bit of a contact issue there as well as he was following Newman.
And Newman's slowing down. He may possibly have a little more damage than what it looks like. You're traveling at a high rate of speed coming off there. You can see the side bashed in quite a bit. Doc?
Yeah, he's called in a moment ago. Thinks he's got a right side tire going down. You saw the contact both first and second, and now Ryan Newman will bring that car on the pit road for an unscheduled pit stop here on lap number 5. He said, I think I got a car that can contend for the win, but right now he is on pit road, and they're going to change to right side tire.
Well, he has one here twice and came from 38th place to do it, but now he's going to have his work cut out for him. We can also tell you that Kevin LePage has taken his car. He's the first to park it. Willie Allen has also come to pit road. He is still getting service on pit road. Out on the track, there you saw for a moment the battle between all 5 of those cars. You got the 32 of Reed Sorensen leading this pack. Let's go on board with Kevin Harvick.
Well, Kevin Harvick's had one of the best cars in practice all week here, and surprised to see him qualify that far back, so it's not a surprise to see him coming forward.
Remember when Kyle Busch started in 10th? Well, that is the battle right now for 5th place. And Vince, what's the latest on the 18?
Well, Kyle Busch said that he likes this place, but he felt like the first 5 laps in a run were going to be the key, because that's when you had to make your move. And you saw Kyle make that move right out of the gate. He picked up 5 spots in the first couple of laps, but it was a collective sigh of relief here in the pit box for Kyle Busch's team. They thought, as I mentioned in the open, that they might have had a splitter that was dragging the ground, and they thought that was going to be an issue for them early on. When they saw Kyle make those moves, smiles crept across the faces of the crew here in the pit box of the 18 team.
Let's give you a quick update. Danica Patrick started 33rd. There you see her battling with Tony Raines. That is 29th and 30th in your screen. Biggest mover of the race. Remember, Stephen Wallace had to go to the rear for an engine change. He has picked up 21 spots. Started 40th. One of the 3 cars to go to the rear. He is up to 19th. Doc?
He climbed in the car, was putting the belts on. I leaned in the window and said, what's it going to be like today? He said, I got to go to the back because I got an engine change, as you said, Marty. He said, but I am going to get there today. He said, it's my dad's birthday. I haven't won in this series. What better day to win it than today to give back to my dad who's done so much for me? He said, I'm going to the front.
Tell you what, I'd rather have a win than a pair of socks and stuff like that to usually buy. I'd go with the win anytime, don't you think, Brad?
I hear you, brother.
Darn, and we picked out a real nice pair of socks for you too, Rusty. Hey, Stephen Wallace ranks 2nd in points right now, earned over the last 4 races. Only 21 points behind Brad Keselowski during that stretch. And he won here back in 2005 in an ARCA race. There's your top 5 at the Carfax 250 at Michigan. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Back here at Michigan International, Brad Keselowski leads by 3.3 seconds over Ryan Truex. That's what it looks like from above. Let's update you on 4 cars behind the wall. Josh Wise, Danny Eflin, Kevin LePage, and Willie Allen, all listed as off. Ryan Newman's back out on the track. He is 1 lap down. As we drift a little bit further back through the field, we've got some great battles going on. There is Trevor Bayne. He's got his hands full right now with the 62 of Brendan Gaughan and also the 12 of Justin Allgaier. That is 11th, 12th, and 13th on the racetrack. And right behind them is Kevin Harvick, a guy that we thought would be moving to the front, but we've been watching his car, especially during the break, and it's been a little wicked out there. Let's take a look and show you what we mean.
He can use this draft to catch this group. It's up to him, but it looks like his car's just too loose.
Outside.
Makes a little contact there with the 12th car of Allgaier.
Still outside.
Well, he hit him on the side. Now he hits him in the back.
Yeah, I think he might have thought that was a little bit of let you know that he didn't appreciate. Maybe he thought the 12 got into him. Vince?
Well, hey guys, we're not the only ones who are surprised that the 33 hasn't been coming to the front as quickly as we expected. Spoke with Ernie Cope earlier today about the way this weekend has gone for them, and he used the word extremely well. I mean, it went so smooth. He said that he's just waiting for something to happen because just about nothing had gone wrong. Well, they slipped up a little bit in qualifying 15th, but still expected that in race trim they'd be able to come to the front. That hasn't been the case thus far. As Andy noted, car is a little bit loose.
Side by side still with the 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
One thing these teams have to learn is where these cars are going to go balance-wise. Are they going to get tighter as the run goes on, or are they going to get looser? And that's one of the things they don't know till they run some laps.
Yeah, one thing Harvick has, you know, we talked about the option of putting the 2 end pieces on the spoiler. Harvick was going to go for the full downforce, and he thought that was going to help him if it was sunny. And we've got a very cloudy day. That may be hurting him somewhat.
And let's mention quickly Michael Annett in that mix, along with Taylor Mousom, as those two cars try and track down the 62. Let's move a little bit further forward. There you got a glimpse of Joey Logano for a moment. Let's check in on Kyle Busch. He's got Ricky Stenhouse. Oh, I love the front look on that Mustang. Isn't that something? I love these new cars, and that's been the feedback we've heard from a lot of the fans out there as well. And Stenhouse looking like he's got the low line. Can he clear him coming out?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that splitter hitting that's keeping Kyle, but after he made that charge up there, picking up those 5 spots before they on that first lap before they got to turn 3, he's kind of fallen back, lost a couple of spots.
Well, it's funny. The Fords are pretty fast down the straightaway. How's our splitter right here?
Well, there you heard him saying that it's still dragging on that splitter and the front end is not turning, so Kyle's not having much luck with the corners. And then he says it doesn't feel like it's pulling down the straightaway. So if it's not turning well in the corner and you don't have the speed down the straightaway, that's not a very good combination. But Kyle Busch still hanging in there in the top 10, currently running 7th.
I guess everything else is all right except for that, though, right?
We mentioned Ryan Newman back out on track. Well, he's about to go 2 laps down as there goes the 22 right on by. And Brad Keselowski's lead now 2.1 seconds over 18-year-old Ryan Truex. And Newman saying, wait a minute, I got to get that lap back if I can.
Yeah, I was looking at the lap times, you know, and obviously Keselowski's laying down some really fast ones, but so was Ryan Newman. After he made that pit stop, looked like his car had kind of come back to life.
Let's try some more 3-wide action for a moment there. That's Nemechek in the 87, the 66 of Stephen Wallace. He's in 20th position. And then right behind Stephen is Mike Bliss. Looking a little bit further back in the field, Danica Patrick, after getting up to 29th, has dropped back to 31st. Talked about staying on the lead lap in the pre-race show, and right now she's 34 seconds behind the race leader. There is the race leader, so she's going to have to pick it up a little bit, or it could be lap down city here pretty soon for Danica. There's your top 5 here at the Carfax 250 after 18 of 125 green flag laps.
Still under green here in Michigan. Reminder that Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals qualifying tonight 11 Eastern ESPN2 from Brainerd, Minnesota. The final Sunday 10 Eastern, also ESPN2. Tomorrow, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Carfax 400 from here in Michigan. Casey Kane is on the pole. Coverage at 1 Eastern ESPN. We start with NASCAR Countdown at noon Eastern on ESPN. Then next weekend, the Nationwide Series moves on to Thunder Valley. Friday, 7 Eastern ESPN for action from Bristol Motor Speedway. That's what's upcoming on the ESPN family of networks. Brad Keselowski, the only leader of the race so far, started on the pole, has led all 22, now 23 laps complete in this race of 125. He has lapped up to the 32nd place car. That is Danica Patrick, who has become the first car 1 lap down. Mike, Danica and all the other drivers learning a lot of lessons about this new car and this long green run.
It's kind of learn as you go, Alan. As you pointed out, this is the first time she's ever been in this car. Of course, this weekend, of course, everybody else, they've only been in this car twice, so they don't have that much of an advantage. You know, Alan, I spoke with her crew chief, Tony Uri, before the race, and I got to tell you, they weren't all that optimistic. He described the car on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best. He said it was about a 4. He anticipated this car would react a lot more like what the Cup car has been like, and that just hasn't been the case. It took them by surprise, and Danica's been complaining that the car's been extremely loose so far.
Those active hands on the steering wheel, never a good sign. Michael, thank you much. Kyle Busch about to come up and put Danica a lap down to him as he goes off into the corner. Now, a long green flag run here at the beginning of the race, and we talked about just before the start of the race how 15, 20 laps in, I think it was Brad Keselowski, our in-race reporter, was talking about how they were going to really find out what was going on with the cars after we got 15, 20 laps in. Well, they're 24 laps in. What are they finding out?
Well, they're finding out a lot right now. It looks like Keselowski's car's balanced real well. He's happy with it. But you go back to a guy like Kevin Harvick, who we all expected to be really fast. He's struggling. Looks like a real loose car to me. And a lot of guys are really looking for this first caution flag, in my opinion, to get down pit road and make some adjustments, because this is the first time, Brad, they've had real racing conditions with this car at this track.
Yeah, it looks like, Rusty, after about 20 laps, all the goodies worn off of those tires, and these cars are all becoming a real handful. I know the guys really want to get down pit road and get some Goodyear Eagles on these race cars so they can get them tightened back up a little bit.
Watch the splitter as we look back at Brendan Gaughan's car
Wow,
here.
that thing is grinding the ground. Look at that. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, you can tell the car is just way too far down on the left front, or else the left rear needs to be lifted up to push that right front corner down. If he's got a loose condition, he'll probably adjust that left rear corner, but that is not right.
So what they're finding out, Marty, DJ, and Andy, is they'd like to see a caution flag to make a pit stop.
Well, you're absolutely right, Alan, because this is the first time in the last 10 races here that the first caution has not come out in the first 20 laps, and we're completing lap number 27 here shortly. So yeah, I think these guys, this totally threw the game plan out a little bit, but we have had this race go caution-free twice in the history.
There's probably a lot of cars hoping and drivers hoping it's not going to go caution-free because they want to adjust on them a little bit. Whoops,
Whoa!
looks like left rear just went down on Jeremy Clement's car there.
And he saves it from going into the wall and pulls it down below the line and is going to be heading for pit road. So a good save for Jeremy Clements. While he pulls in, let's also update you. Morgan Shepherd is now off track, and the others that are out, Brian Keselowski, Derek Cope, Josh Wise, Danny Eflin, Kevin LePage, and Willie Allen. And Jeremy was 29th when he had that tire issue. Trevor Bayne, we talked about the two of the three youngest guns in the top 8 that had qualified. Trevor goes around Colin Brown, and that is 7th and 8th position. Let's go back, and this was right in front of Brad Keselowski, our race leader, and nice job.
We got a good view of that.
Yeah, he sure did, and that's not an easy thing to do. You have a tire go down, entering the corner and through the center there. You're generally going to hit something or spin out. Jeremy did a fantastic job.
And we can tell you they gave him new Dr. Feelgoods, and he is back out on track. Let's get an update from our race leader, Dave Burns.
And when a tire goes down like Clemens did, it throws up little pieces of debris. And right before this race, crew chief Paul Wolf was on the front end of this car making what is a legal adjustment. He moved some tape from the upper opening of that car down. He told me about 1/8 of an inch. He said, I'm a little worried that there's going to be some debris collecting on this today. We really don't know. I want to give it as much room as possible for error. The good news is that the leader of the race has reported his car handles great. Let's go to Tim Brewer in the tech garage. And Tim, the front ends of these cars can be really sensitive, and it relates to both handling and temperature on those motors.
Dave, you're exactly right. Folks, as those tires wear out, these particles of rubber, they stuff themselves right across the face of this. It gives you more downforce, but it also increases the water temperature because you want the airflow to go into the radiator and cool just as much of the bottom of the radiator as it does the top. So you might have to come in on a pit stop after learning more about these cars and remove more tape up in this area, keeping all that trash. It's fine down here, but you still have to have the nose open to get adequate airflow to the engine for cooling. Guys?
While you were talking, we were watching this battle on the right side of the screen. That's Reed Sorensen moving out in front. Now we've got another one with Trevor Bayne and Kyle Busch going side by side. That is for 6th on the racetrack.
Yeah, Trevor Bayne's one that looks like his car. Andy was talking about what's it going to do after a while. Going to go to the tight or loose side. Whichever side he started out, his car is doing very well after they've got about 30 laps on the tire.
Yeah, it's definitely coming to him for Trevor Bayne, but it's going away from Kyle Busch. You see just kind of steadily fading back, and it's got to be that splitter rubbing the racetrack that's causing the most problems. It's going to be hard to fix that on a pit stop, too.
You know, something that everybody was talking about, and you brought it up, Andy, the great equalizer. We see these Gibbs cars where normally we're talking about them being out front, battling each other for the lead. They're back in struggling right now with the handling. You see Danica on pit road.
Mike? Awfully loose, guys. They're going to make some significant chassis adjustments, track bar and wedge. 4 tires in Sunoco race fuel, but they're really trying to tighten that car up. An awful handful for Danica Patrick as she's been struggling in the early stages of this one. They're away.
And that'll end up putting her 2 laps down as the green laps continue to fly by. You see Joey Logano now up on the high side, and you mentioned the Gibbs cars. Logano's running in 9th right now, ahead of Colin Brown. Kyle Busch is in 7th. And there is your top 5 here at the Carfax 250 after 31 consecutive green flag laps. And for Brad Keselowski, can he pick up win number 4 of the year right here at his home track? Green flag pit stops taking place. 2nd place, Ryan Truex. Doc?
A little bit overheating for Ryan Truex. They had to get some tape off the front. They also had a lot of rubber buildup. You heard Tim Brewer talking about how the rubber built up. They were showing some temperature in both the oil and water. Air pressure change. He was sliding you knows. What a great effort for the 18-year-old and only his second ever start in this series.
But we have completed 36 of the 125 scheduled laps, all under green flag conditions. Leading all those laps is that man right there, last year's race winner, Brad Keselowski. Jason Leffler has now inherited and actually took second place. And now we can tell you that Trevor Bayne is on pit road as well. Here he comes, Dave.
Hardy, he worked his way up to the 6th position from that 8th place starting spot. At the beginning of the run, he said that his car was tight, wanted to push toward that outside wall. At the end of the run, he said we couldn't be much more balanced than it is right now. So crew chief Jerry Baxter going to give him just a slight air pressure adjustment, try to make it better at the start of the run. Mike?
And Brian Scott had been complaining early in this run that the car was a little bit aero tight. They're going to try to free him up with air pressure. No significant chassis adjustment on the 11 car as they swing around to the 11 and finish their pit stop, Dave.
Leader Brad Keselowski on pit road. All during this run, a little free in and off of the corner, tight in the center of the corner. So they will make a 4-tire change, and they will make a slight air pressure adjustment for Keselowski.
You saw the 18 of Kyle Busch also getting 4 fresh tires. He's pitted at pit in. Here's pit out. Keselowski easily gets back out in front. And there you see the damage on the right side of the 12 after Allgaier has brushed the wall. Dave?
Justin's car during this run very tight at the beginning and then loose to the middle and tight off of the corner. They're going to make a chassis adjustment on that car. It was a track bar.
There's the 38 of Jason Leffler. He's been running in the top 3 throughout the course of these early stages of the race. Says the car's pretty good. A little bit snug on entry and a little free on exit, but otherwise fine. 4 tires and a slight air pressure adjustment. Dave?
Vince Joey Logano had been running 9th, and to your discussion earlier, guys, about which way the cars would go, first it was tight, 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 and then he said, surprisingly, it's gone freer. Now at the end of the run, it went back to tight again, so they'll adjust on this car. He's been trying to save that right front so that he didn't have any issues with it.
We can tell you the 70th Shelby Howard is also in. Here comes Paul Menard, who had inherited the race lead. He's our 3rd different leader. Leffler led for 1 lap. Carl Edwards coming down pit road right behind him. Remember, speed 55 miles an hour. Mike?
And the car has changed for Carl Edwards. At the beginning of the run, he was saying he was free on entry, but toward the end of the run, he said the entry was okay. What the problem is now with the 60 car, a little bit tight on throttle. They're going to make a 4-tire change on that car. Also a chassis adjustment, trying to get that car a little bit more to Carl's liking and trying to get him so that he can get back on the throttle as quickly as possible and remove that tight condition. Dave?
Ricky Stenhouse started this race 6th. He fell back to the 11th position as we have a gas can stuck, I believe, in the 33. Stenhouse is in now. They'll get a 4-tire change for a car that was a little free in and tight from the center off. It'll be a track bar adjustment for Stenhouse.
Now we'll wait to see what happens as far as a penalty, because the can actually did fall off of the car and got outside the box. So we'll wait for NASCAR's interpretation. Here comes Colin Brown, Mike.
And Colin Brown pretty happy with his race car, saying it was pretty secure for the most part. Needs to be freed up center off, however. They're going to make a wedge adjustment on that race car. 4 tires and fuel for Colin Brown and the 16 team. They've been having a pretty solid run so far, but just not where they want it. They need to make that just a little bit better. They're away.
There's Mike Wallace as he comes in. Let's go over the wall.
Going down on air, both right sides.
Well, we apologize for Rick's language. Obviously frustrated because he had 2 mistakes on the tires there. Meanwhile, the action on the 88, Doc.
Elliott Sadler, 1 round down the track bar. Elliott's cannot get the car to turn coming off the corner to get it down off the wall. Made an adjustment here, 4 tires, and topped it off with Sunoco fuel.
Well, quite a number of stops that we saw with mistakes. I mean, Carl Edwards, they had a 19-second pit stop. Pass-through penalty for the 33 because of the fuel can that got outside the box. And so that's going to hurt Kevin Harvick. And the guy who has inherited the race lead again after the cycling is Brad Keselowski. Let's go back and show you what happened on the 33.
Well, the pit crew feeling some pressure under this green flag stop to get going, and they still had that gas can. You can see the gas man hangs onto it as long as he can, but it just got caught and that always draws a penalty. I hope he's okay there.
Hard, outside, light.
No report. There he was as he picked it up, so he apparently is okay.
Well, one thing I see right there, that can looks awful heavy, and they made a full green flag run. You would expect those cans to be almost empty. Just wondering if they didn't have some kind of problem getting fuel in the car.
Danica Patrick goes 3 laps down now as Brad Keselowski came in with a 4.6 second lead. He now has a 5.9 second lead over Ryan Truex here at the Carfax 250. Hey, Verizon Wireless customers, text Champion to 43776 for exclusive Champion chats. It's content from our NASCAR Now Roundtable of Experts. And back here, we have been lean, mean, and green, completing 47 of the 125 laps so far. We've had 5 different leaders, but that man has led 43 of those laps. But right behind him, Jason Leffler and Ryan Truex are having a heck of a battle for second place. Truex came out after the pit stops with the second position. They're about 8.7 seconds behind. There they are, but now Leffler has just gotten around, and here comes Paul Menard into the mix. Andy?
Well, you can see right here the pit crew for Ryan Truex doing an excellent job, 14.4, doing a really good job to keep him in contention, and he's still racing some really good cars here on the racetrack.
Yeah, now it's going to be interesting to see this young man, his first time at Michigan, how he was going to be as far as getting on and off of pit road. And he really did an okay job. He lost a little bit of time, but his pit crew picked him up, and that's what it's all about, teamwork. He ended up not losing much time at all on that first time with a green flag stop.
And we should point out Pat Tryson and the guys, Martin Truex, his older brother, they're all down there helping. And so let's listen to the 00 radio.
Why do I always stall these? I don't understand it. Got to keep the RPMs up. Probably my fault for not telling you, but you got to keep the RPMs a lot higher when you're trying to leave out of here. There's a lot of bite in this racetrack.
Yeah, that probably, a lot of that driver time that we saw was probably a lot of that with him either stalling or almost stalling the car. And with these tapered spacers, you really have to keep the RPMs up because you run such a high rear end gear. So just another learning experience there.
Best battle on the racetrack. There it is, second, third, and although Ryan Truex started to lose a little bit of ground to the 2 guys in front of him.
Well, Paul Menard's on the move. You can see him right here making the move on Leffler. He's been running lap times as faster than the 22 car, Brad Keselowski. So looks like we may have a challenger now for Brad Keselowski out of this second group of cars. Looks like it's Paul Menard.
Yeah, we saw Paul Menard and Carl Edwards, who had been battling on the racetrack, come into pit road basically the same time, maybe a car length apart, and he's now 7 seconds ahead of Carl Edwards, who had a pretty slow pit stop. They had some trouble on the right front, but Paul Menard is really getting the job done on the track.
Now, during that conversation, we heard Ryan Truex talking about almost stalling the car, and the team telling him about the RPMs. Just listen now as he comes off pit road.
Pit crew making a great stop right here. Comes down. He's ready to go here. You can see just stalled it. Fired it right back up, but man, it cost you a little bit of time, Doc.
And remember, he's just 18 years old. He's never been to this racetrack, only his second ever start in the series. And then has a very, very steep learning curve. We mentioned that Mike Gricci is talking to him. We got Pat Tryson, who is the Cup crew chief for Martin Truex, talking to him. And maybe most importantly of all, we got his big brother and his hero, Martin Truex Jr., sitting on top of the pit box, being not only a driver coach, but a brother to help keep the young man calm and help him learn.
Well, one other thing, he's the 2009 NASCAR K&N Pro Series East champion. He currently leads the Pro Series East standings again this year.
Yeah, and I'll be on the driver's side here and a little in defense of Ryan Truex. They probably also talked to him about these are concrete pit boxes, and you can get a lot of bite. And you get those RPMs up too much, you can break an axle or a drive plate back there. So I'm sure he was just being cautious that first time. Still doing a great job on the racetrack.
And he's coming back on the 38, battling for position with Jason Leffler. He wants that third position back. There's second place, Paul Menard. They are 10 seconds behind race leader Brad Keselowski. He has checked out, at least for the moment.
Because if Brad had to do anything, making adjustments to his car, he came back out and just making some fantastic laps.
Vince, what's the latest?
Well, the 38 of Jason Leffler had been running about third throughout the early stages of this race, starting to slip back a little bit, and Jason just radioed in and said, I might have a right rear going down. It's starting to move around a lot in the back end. Said maybe a slow leak, so they're keeping an eye on it, trying to determine whether he should come into the pits. Dave?
And Vince, guys were wondering about the leader. They did make just a very slight air pressure adjustment. Brad saying that at the start of the run it was a little bit tighter, but the balance is okay. DJ, I think that little bit tighter at the start of a run means you can really go out and drive it, right?
Yeah, you got that right, and he's doing a great job of that, as he usually does.
And we heard a lot of these cars and drivers talking about how their car was going to the loose side from tight, and that's kind of different than the old car. The old car used to get tighter. This one, not so much. From the ones I heard, it looked to me like the cars were getting looser.
We've knocked 53 laps down. Kevin Harvick is the last car on the lead lap. He is 20th right now, 39 seconds behind.
Fastest race.
Here's our 5-Hour Energy rapid recap of the first half of today's race. Biggest mover, the 5-Hour Energy car. Steve Wallace started at the back because of an engine change. He's up into the top 20.
Yeah, he's looking good right now. Just trying to get himself from the back to the front, just like you said. That's going to you have to keep pedaling that baby, because that 22 car you see on the right-hand side, he has been flat flying.
Danica Patrick started this race, got lapped in the first run of the race, then on the first pit stop had a speeding penalty, and because of that now finds herself pretty well back in the field. Patrick running in 33rd spot, 3 laps down to the race leader now. Kevin Harvick, one of the pre-race favorites.
Kevin had a tough time on pit road as well. You see the gas can and the gas man both got stuck in the race car there, had to come back down pit road for a penalty. It's put him back in deep in the field.
New car blues, perhaps.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And Kevin back in 18th position after the pass-through penalty. While all that's been going on, what's been going on has been that guy in that white 22 Challenger. Brad Keselowski has an 11.4 second lead on second place Paul Menard.
He's just out there kind of toting around right now. That hot rod is flying. They evidently hit on something, he and Chad Walter, and they have got it figured out a lot better than everyone else does right now. They are gone.
And I correct my error. Danica's penalty was the blend line penalty, not the speeding penalty. Either way, it was the pass-through.
Yeah.
And didn't help anything, that's for sure. All right, let's take you up to speed now. We've got 18 cars on the lead lap. You've seen the first 5 run through the frame. How about 6th place on back, Michael?
And of course, that's Carl Edwards in that 6th position. If you're wondering how much of an advantage it is, having an alliance with the Sprint Cup Series team, well, consider this. The chassis of that 60 car is a former Cup car from the Roush stables that they ran back in 2008. In fact, they've come here with a set of notes that were used by the 17 team. They've been working off of those, trying to set up that race car, and also picking the brain of Carl Edwards, crew chief on the Cup side, Bob Osborne, trying to get the car dialed in. Dave?
Mike, as we look back at the 20 car of Joey Logano, we mentioned at the beginning of the day, this weekend has been a struggle for them. Listen to what he had to report on the radio.
Got it backsliding now. Definitely freer. I wouldn't want to tighten it up, but I'm a little bit on the free side. No speed though. This is the best the car's been since we got here, really.
The good news, guys, is that it's the best it's been all weekend long, the best so far. But I bet they'll make some more adjustments on this caution flag period.
Our first caution of the day, we had a car smoking on the racetrack, and they're worried about oil being down there. And the
like
word
Chase
is,
Austin.
Yeah, Chase is the unfortunate victim in this case, as he is coasting on down the backstretch. And there you can see some of the smoke. I think the engine has been shut off, shall we say?
Yeah, it might be smoking, but that front end of that thing still looks cool, doesn't it?
Push, bud.
They've done such a great job with these Nationwide cars.
Well, the Aaron's lucky dog will go to the 66 of Stephen Wallace. He is in 19th position. It'll give us, as we say, 19 on the lead lap. Let's also report that we now have Ryan Newman behind the wall, and then Shepard, Keselowski, Brian Keselowski, Cope, Wise, Eflin, LePage, Allen out of this race. So that big 11-second lead that Brad Keselowski had built up has vanished in our first caution here. And we were talking about how long the green flag was. This is the longest green flag stretch to start a race since 2000, when we went 73 laps. See everybody getting loaded up for the second round of pit stops.
I bet a lot of them have those wedge wrenches out ready to start spinning some jack screws on these cars and making some changes.
Yeah, it'd be their first real chance to do that. Even though they made that green flag stop, you don't want to take up too much time on that. So they'll be making a pretty good sized swing at it here now.
Last pits ranged from lap 35 for somebody like Ryan Truex all the way through lap 39 for Paul Menard.
Well, one thing that happens on a caution, you can actually interrogate the driver more detail and find out really more what the car is doing. That helps the crew chief make that decision on what kind of changes to make. When they're out there under green, it's really hard to do that because they'll lose time while they're trying to, talk to the driver.
Pit road is closed by NASCAR. The 43 has, there you see on the right side of your screen, it's basically just coasted to a stop there. And so now they're going to have to get him out of the way before they can open.
Yeah, that would create a big mess if they open pit road. Everybody's coming, so don't want to have a log jam right there at the entrance.
Yeah, I tell you what, somebody's been impressive today, a number of these young guys, but we watched Trevor Bayne drive his way up into that third spot. He really is doing a great job with this car here. Really looked like running some of the faster times. Maybe not quite as fast on the get-go as what Brad Keselowski, but in that case, nobody else was either. But made a nice run here to the front. We just see more and more as this young man gets more experience, see him become more competitive.
Yeah, now Paul Menard's able to erase that deficit he had. He had a pretty fast car, so he might be able to challenge Keselowski for this lead.
Well, make sure to go to Goodyear.com to check out Goodyear's Support Our Troops program. There you can send a thank you message from a NASCAR driver. You can enter for a chance to win a 2011 Ford Taurus or other great prizes. We mentioned right before the last commercial break how Kevin Harvick was at that time the last car on the lead lap. He was in 18th position, a full 43 seconds behind, and this is a huge opportunity for these guys to get back into the race as well.
Well, what happened was Kevin didn't have the car that he thought he was going to have in the beginning of the race, but he did find something at the end of that long green flag run. He had moved up the track and made up a lot of time. Looked like he was ready to kind of maybe challenge some of these guys for the top spots, but then they made that mistake on pit road.
Yeah, big break for that. And Andy, and you pointed out, I don't think he was full of fuel, so they were probably going to have to come in early too.
Yeah, his pass-through penalty was on lap number 43, and we are working on lap 64. So as they come down pit road, let's send it out to Vince Welch early.
Well, waiting on the 38 of Jason Leffler, who's had a good run today. He's been running in the top 5. He comes into his pit box running 4th, but he didn't like that last set of tires. He said he felt like maybe even had a tire going down, developed a vibration. They're going to pump up the air pressure in the left rear. 4 new Goodyears and Sunoco fuel for the 38. Doc?
Ryan Truex up 1 round on the track bar. They're taking to be very, very deliberate. Now, when the jack goes out on the right side, put the car back in gear, in first gear, and rev the throttle. Mike.
Last round of pit stops, the 98 team took a half a pound out of the left front tire, and it helped the cars so much. They're making no serious changes here, just 4 tires and fuel, Dave.
The leader's car is balanced very good. The clutch is very bad. He didn't trust it, and it fails him. Clutch problems for the leader, Brad Keselowski, and he gives it up on pit road.
As we check out the Nationwide Insurance race off pit road, you can see how it has cost everybody and helped others. Logano picks up 3, Leffler dropped 2, and you saw Ryan Truex's crew with a really great stop. They basically held station from where they came in.
Well, we see the race off. Looked like Keselowski to the line was second, but we'll see where they line him up. He lost a lot of momentum off pit road.
Well, we'll wait for NASCAR to make the call. There you can see him sort of pulling back up behind Paul Menard. So the bit of a hiccup looks like it's only going to cost him the 1 spot, but it's going to set up. And let's take a look as we show you again exactly how this unfolds. There's Menard in the yellow in the further back area, and then the very first car is Keselowski.
You see Menard just finishing up, pulls out of his pit stall. Looks like he's going to be free and clear coming down. And even the 99 car gets out with a good stop. But Keselowski just doesn't get going. Looks like he lost a little more than a spot or 2, though.
It'll be interesting to see, because you're right, from that angle, although that's not the dead straight on angle, it looked like he could have been about 4th or 5th coming off that line. But again, it's where the timing line is, not necessarily where, some of the painted lines that we see out there. There's about 3 of them out there. Vince, what's the latest on 18?
Well, Kyle Busch, as we've been documenting throughout the course of this race, has been having trouble with that splitter on the front end. They came in to raise the front end earlier. Now they're looking at possibly changing the splitter. So they changed the front, the right side tires. They're also going to change the lefts on this one, but it's been a tough go so far here at Michigan for Kyle Busch.
All right, back here at Michigan under our first and only caution. It's Paul Menard, Brad Keselowski, Trevor Bayne, Joey Logano, and Ryan Truex, your top 5. Let's show you the race off. Remember we told you the angle can be deceiving? There goes Menard, and there's Brad.
The call was right. He is second. All he really lost was lane choice.
4 wave-arounds. Carl Long, Eric McClure, Mike Wallace, and Michael McDowell. And that means now we have a total of 20 cars still on the lead lap. As they come down, Brad Keselowski selects the inside lane. He's got a clutch issue. I'm sorry, Menard had the choice, and he goes to the high side. Let me correct myself there. I'm so used to having Brad out front all day long. He's led 60 laps. And we're back to green flag racing here at Michigan.
Yeah, see how this works out for Menard. I know why he chose that to try to get this run off of turn 2, but Brad Keselowski got a great run down into the corner.
Joey Logano going to try the high side, going 3 wide. There's the 99 sliding up. Trevor Bayne's got Leffler on the outside. Here goes Menard. He gets a little help from behind, and we're freight training down the backstretch.
Right here's where that draft comes into play. And you see Logano now taking kind of a slingshot move into 3.
Can he hold the car down?
He can hold it, but Menard's going to have the momentum off the corner, just like he did off turn 2.
Carl Edwards into the mix as well. Keselowski inside, now pulling in behind Carl.
Well, got to be careful bump drafting through this part of the racetrack.
Yeah, and that caution was also a huge break for Carl Edwards, who had gotten way behind also, but has a very fast car.
Harvick is trying to move his way up. Keep an eye on the 33. Here we go. Menard doesn't know what he's missing behind him. Logano thinks better of it, falls in. Now there is Harvick. You can see where he is in this mix. As right now he is shown in the 10th position. Remember, he was in like 18th. Menard's got his mirrors full now of Carl Edwards. Edwards takes a peek to the inside. Here comes Keselowski.
Well, this is where draft really, this has always been a case at Michigan, but even more so with these new cars.
On
Carl
board,
Edwards
Brad.
able to push Menard on by there and take that second spot away too.
Joey Logano side by side with the 99 of Trevor Bayne. A little bit further back is Jason Leffler. Coming into the mix also, Reed Sorensen there in the yellow 32. And there is Kevin Harvick up to the 8th. And of course, as we look at the 22 and the 60 side by side, we would be remiss if we didn't remind everybody they have a bit of history and are both on probation right now and giving each other plenty of room.
I like the teamwork you're seeing right here with the 2 Roush cars with Menard and Edwards working together and using this draft to stay ahead of Keselowski.
Brad slides back into the 3rd spot, and from high above, there's Trevor Bayne taking a peek underneath. Can he make it and clear him? Doesn't look like it. Side by side with Joey down the backstretch.
You can see Keselowski trying this one more time down to the inside, where he had both of them together there. He may be able to slide up in front of Carl Edwards. That's what he's going to try to do, but I don't think he got enough of a run that time.
Like I said earlier, Paul Menard was running lap times as fast as Keselowski, even though he was 10 seconds behind. And now he's able to get out front and really use that fast car.
Well, and this is the first time Paul's ever led here in the Nationwide Series at Michigan in his 5th start here at the 2-mile oval. 67 starts since his one and only win back in Milwaukee, June of 2006. Maybe today's the day. Uh-oh, whoa, problems for Jason Leffler down the backstretch. He is slowing. We heard just the tail end of the radio. Could you catch it? I missed it.
No, but it has to look like sometimes engine problems. Carl's taking a look to the outside, trying to make that work. Vance.
Yeah, guys saying that Leffler came on the radio and he said, man, this has been a good car, but we just blew up. No oil pressure at all for the for the 38, the Great Clips Toyota. Jason Leffler bringing it in. Disappointing. They were running in the top 5 throughout the course of the early race.
This will be his 7th DNF of the season. It has not been the kind of year that team has wanted. Meanwhile, out on the backstretch, look at the top 3. This is a great battle going on.
It's almost like Keselowski's not going to be able to make this pass without some help. Right as I say that, it looks like he's going to make it here.
After an 11-second lead, I don't think anybody's going to want to help him.
No, they're not going to, especially these 2 Fords. They're not going to want to help him with that Dodge.
And he's going, as you said, he's going to have a difficult time there. What he's going to have to do is get himself in position where Carl's away from the 98 just a little bit, and he can slide up in between. Then he might be able to make that happen. But trying to make a run to where he can get by both of them is going to be very difficult.
Well, and of course, don't forget, Paul Menard is going to go to Richard Childress Racing next year, so he'll be over into a Chevrolet camp running in Sprint Cup. Looking a little bit further back, the fastest car on the track right now, Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, we were just talking about Keselowski needing some help. He's going to have all the help he wants here in a minute with this group of cars catching him.
Yeah, you see right up in front of him's a guy that I'm looking at, though. That's Kevin Harvick. He's got this groove up on the top of the racetrack. He is coming right now, guys.
Harvick is up to 6th position. He was running 21st after the pass-through penalty. And look at this battle up front, running nose to tail, a pair of Fords and a Dodge Challenger. And it's real easy to tell them apart.
See, now Keselowski's still trying to make that move on the bottom.
Back on board with Brad.
know what more I can do there, Paul. Sorry about that.
10-4, man. It's not your fault. I don't know. Just aren't getting this problem fixed that we've talked about now for a few weeks. It's frustrating. Hey, we got a good car here. We're going to still win this thing. I won't let that set us back.
4 copy.
With Paul Wolf now as they go by the front straightaway. Paul, is the clutch, how bad is it? And will it only affect him on your final pit stop?
Well, I didn't hear exactly what you said, but we've got a little issue with the clutch here, and obviously it hurt us on this last pit stop. So, it's kind of what we've got. So, we just make the best of it, and we've got a good car. It's just now you see the draft with these cars is so big compared to the old car, and they're just able to stay. We can't get clear of them because they can draft back up. So. We'll keep working on it, and we'll see what we got at the end.
Help the non-mechanic in me. Is it only a problem on the final pit stop or something that can hurt it on the track too?
No, it's just going to be a pit stop. We're good on the track, so we just got to do the best we can in the pits here and keep it up front.
And it's obviously still very fast, Marty.
And while you're talking to him, this has just been great watching. Look at this. Menard all of a sudden slides back, and here you got Carl Edwards now taking over the race lead. We've now had 7 lead changes between 6 guys, and we're down to 49 laps to go, and here comes Harvick.
ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues tomorrow night with a battle of NL East rivals from Citi Field. Raul Ibanez and the Phillies take on David Wright and the New York Mets on ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern. Game also available on ESPN3.com. We're having a real slugfest here at Michigan International Speedway with 44 laps to go. The race for the lead, Carl Edwards in 60, Brad Keselowski in 22. The second race for NASCAR's next generation car. After a somewhat spread out first run, a set of pit stops, and things have been hot and heavy up front, Rusty.
They have been great up front. I mean, you see Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski just got the cars running good, but there are a lot of have and have-nots out there, guys. We've only had 1 caution flag to speak of, and there's a lot of cars out there needing big-time adjustments. You got to remember, this is a first time in competition for this new car at this particular track, and they are dying for some pit stops and make some more adjustments.
And while Keselowski tries to find a way around Carl Edwards and back into the lead, remember he's been the dominant driver in this race so far, though had a clutch problem on his only pit stop, on the last pit stop, I should say, 1 of 2 during the race. Kevin Harvick had a pit stop problem, and boy, is he on the charge, back up to 3rd spot and closing on the leaders.
I'll tell you what, Kevin Harvick is flat flying around this racetrack. Since the start, he's back up 12 positions. He's done a great job of battling, getting himself back into position to give himself a chance.
Now, a couple guys that have been factors to win about every race they've been in for the last few years. The Joe Gibbs Racing entries, Joey Logano and Kyle Busch. Right now, Logano's running in 6th, and Kyle Busch is running behind him in 8th.
I mean, they're not out to lunch or anything. Let's not get ridiculous, but yeah, we're used to seeing these 2 guys whenever they show up and close that window net, leading a lot of laps and dominating. They're kind of back a little bit today, not exactly running up front, but they're working their way there. I think the last 20 laps, we'll see some stuff happen.
This 4 wide. I think we said earlier if we saw 4 wide, we were going to stand up. Watch your head when you do, Brad. Now, one guy who won't be around to be part of what we hope is a great finish to this event was running 5th at the time of his troubles. Jason Leffler's with Vince.
That's right. He was very strong in the 38 today, running top 5 all day. But ultimately, Jason, what sent you to the side?
Yeah, I don't know. Something in the motor. I think it might have broke a cam or something, but it's a shame. Greg Cliff's old Navy car was really strong all day. And I've had 0 motor failures for 3 years, and I've had about 4 or 5 this year. So as many as these things that we break, you think I'd know what broke inside, but I don't know. Something different every time. It's getting pretty frustrating, especially when you have a good car like that.
Marty?
While you're talking with Jason, the battle up front has really gotten interesting again. You saw that for a moment at least. The 22 of Brad Keselowski, there he goes again, sticks his nose in front of the 60 of Carl Edwards. And then a little bit further behind, take a look at Menard and Bain. That is for 4th on the track, guys. So pick your poison. We got action everywhere.
Sure do. I tell you, Brad Keselowski's been very impressive, but Carl's giving him everything that he can handle right now. I really thought that Brad might just go up and kind of, blow him away and move on, but that hasn't been the case.
The way it started out, the race did, he took off. Brad Keselowski just took off and hid. And then after that just a little hiccup on pit road, he lost that lead, and it took him this long to get it back.
I think what we're seeing too, these guys getting used to these cars, what they can and can't do with them. They're learning all about it, learning to use the draft even more at a place like this. That maybe in the past with the older car, they didn't have those opportunities.
That was Kenny Wallace going another lap down. He is now shown in 32nd position. It's Keselowski and Edwards up front with 40 to go. Welcome back to the Carfax 250, and make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. And also, go to Goodyear.com to show your thanks and help support our troops, as Goodyear is the official tire of NASCAR. All right, let's reset it for Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards, as they are running 1-2 about a half a second apart. That's the view from high above. And let's pick it up there with, let's go up to speed with Kevin Harvick, and 3rd place, Mike Massaro.
Well, the 33 team, Marty, certainly got their money's worth on that last pit stop. They took some time, made some adjustments. They actually adjusted the sway bar, trying to get that car right. They felt like it was worth the investment of time, and obviously they were right. It has paid off. Kevin Harvick has been making his way to the front so much, in fact, that the leaders, while monitoring their radio, they're all concerned about the 33. They want to know how fast he's coming, Dave.
Mike Trevor Bayne running 4th. Until last week, he had won 3 poles in a row, and some were asking, is he ready to win? Trevor thinks that he may be, but he said the biggest thing that gave him was confidence, and not just his own confidence from his team members. He could sense that they felt he had made it here. And if you press him about whether he's ready to win, he says, if I was running in the 15th to 10th position all the time, it wouldn't bother me so much. But when you're running in the top 5, I'm starting to think about it too. As for the 12 of Justin Allgaier, on the last pit stop, they made a track bar and air pressure adjustment. It was loose in, it was tied off. He said they made the entry and the exit better. Well, there's something left. The center, and they need to work on that on their final stop. Mike?
Well, in the previous round of pit stops, Paul Menard and Matt Puccia were so happy with the adjustments they made that on the last round of pit stops, they elected not to change anything. Just 4 tires, straight up in fuel. Well, it appears to have bit them a little bit. The car has gotten a little bit looser. Awful handful for Paul Menard to hold on to right now, Vince.
Well, the 18 of Kyle Busch has won 9 times this season, and he has won here at this racetrack before as well, but he hasn't had a car to win today. They've dealt with the front end of the car throughout the course of this race, raised the splitter, made a shock adjustment, had the hood up at one point as well. They're going to make more adjustments on this final stop. That will come with about 15 laps to go. Dave?
Vince, his teammate Joey Logano doesn't have the speed he wants, and he says the handling right now is contributing to that. He says it's looser than it was, and I'm losing speed as I enter the corners. Vince?
Reed Sorensen is running 9th. Sorensen has been fighting a loose race car throughout the course of the day. You see Sorensen there on the right-hand side, the yellow car that just snuck behind. He's been fighting loose throughout most of the afternoon today. They're going to put a little wedge in it to make it a little more handleable next time around, Doc.
And there's the 15 car. Michael Annett began the day in 17th position. Ryan Fugel made a very good call on the first pit stop, made an adjustment with the track bar and air pressure, and Michael got all the way up to 12th but couldn't go any further. Last pit stop, he went again on the track bar and air pressure, and now on lap 77, Michael Annett has driven that car into the top 10, and he's trying to finish in the top 10 spot in points when we leave today. Marty.
All right, thanks, guys. We're watching Reed Sorensen because he has been going backwards here. You think something's wrong?
Yeah, it looked like he might have an engine problem or something. Maybe down a cylinder.
Well, his teammate is in the garage area, Jason Leffler, with an engine that has expired, so he may be having the same issue. Yeah, he's definitely got some kind of engine problem.
Vince, what are you hearing?
Well, they just came on and they asked him if he had a tire going down. He said, no, I'm just wicked loose.
The RPMs, when he came by here, it didn't have the RPM. Looked like he just had to get out of the throttle coming off of 4.
Yeah, that constitutes being pretty loose right there.
Yeah, yes.
Well, let's go back up front. Brad Keselowski is leading Carl Edwards. You can throw a blanket over both of them. Brad has clinched for most laps led. He's led 71 of them, and the driver leading the most laps has won 8 of the last 12 here at Michigan. Oh, man, back here at the Carfax 250 of Michigan, look at our race lead. The top 3 cars had lap traffic, and it has tightened the battle up. It's Keselowski in front of Carl Edwards. Kevin Harvick wants that high line, and we are winding down the laps, 26 to go, and something to look forward to, guys. The final green flag stretch has been 10 laps or less in 6 of the last 7 races. This is going to get good.
It is good. Look at this. These guys are racing hard. Harvick had been using that extreme high line till he caught this group, and then Carl Edwards basically took it away from him when he saw that. You can see how Carl now is not going to let Harvick get up on the outside of him.
And we saw how the draft really pulled Kevin Harvick up. Once he got kind of a sniff of those 2 cars, he closed in on them quickly, but now he can't get by them.
Well, here's something else to think about Kevin Harvick. When he won here back in 2003, he took the lead for the first time with 10 laps to go. And here he comes down for his final pit stop. So Harvick is going to get 4 fresh tires as we're going to have another round of green flag stops. And he is the first of the leaders to come in.
Well, he had that one mistake, leaving the gas can in just a little too long and pulled it out of the pit stall, but he's coming down for this money stop, Mike.
And the guys are on the wall waiting for Harvick to arrive. They know how important this pit stop is. Harvick into his box, hits his marks absolutely perfectly. The team goes to work on the right side of that car. 2 tires there. They swing around to the left side. A 4-tire change for Harvick. 1 can of Sunoco race fuel as they continue their work on the left side of this car. Harvick finally away. Clean stop, though.
14.8, there's the race leaders coming across the start-finish line right now. And Harvick is going to go a lap down, but remember, everybody has to cycle on through. There he comes back out onto the racetrack.
He has to stay below that yellow line until he gets over to turn 2. He just has to hope right now that there's not a caution flag here.
Ryan Truex, who has fallen back down, and now he has come back out. Now the 18 is in. Doc?
Hey, Kyle Busch just finishing up his stop. They went with a track bar adjustment. They've been chasing the handle on this car all day long. 4 tires and fuel. Mike?
Taylor Malsom has been loose throughout the course of the day. They too have been chasing in an air pressure adjustment this time around on the 10 car as they go to work there. A 4-tire change is planned. Also 2 cans of Sunoco race fuel on the 10 car as they try to tighten him up with air pressure. Malsom down and away at 15.5 seconds. Meanwhile, Carl Edwards on pit road as well. The wind may be in the balance here. The team going to work. The car's been a little bit tight in the center of the corner. They're going to try to correct that as well with air pressure. A 4-tire change on the 60 as they continue their pit stop. A quick one down and away for Edwards, Doc.
Michael Annett all the way up to 7th position now. The best he has run today, trying to get his 3rd top 10 finish of the year. Slight air pressure adjustment. Final pit stop down and away. Mike.
Colin Brown with a pretty strong run going as well, trying to maintain that as they complete their stop at just over 14 seconds. 4 tires and fuel for Brown.
Guys, right now on pit road, all these things are happening as the 99 of Trevor Bayne comes down pit road. During that run, he tried a high line through the center of 3 and 4. He did not like it, so he went back. The car was a bit tighter and it wasn't hooked up in the rear, so as they go to work on this, they'll try to loosen that car up and get that rear end to grip just a little bit more for Bayne. He was running 4th in this round before everybody started pitting. Good run for him today. Keselowski is on pit road as well. He said last pit time around on the track, he said, are these guys short pitting on me? Should we be coming down pit road? So last time he was on pit road, he had a clutch issue in the 22 car. So when they come down pit road this time, he will try to pump that up as they raise that car on the jack and make sure he can get that transmission re-engaged. Now, as far as the handling goes, he's been pretty happy with the race car. Obviously, he took the lead back after about 20 laps, so they make no adjustments on this round for Keselowski. Keselowski, they're finishing up their stop right now. It looks fairly clean for him, and let's see if he can get the car off of pit road. He does stall it again. He'll need a push from his crew, and now he's back on the racetrack. 20 car of Joey Logano in. Losing speed on the entry. They'll make an adjustment for Joey and send him back out as well.
Justin Allgaier also coming down pit road. Of the 3 leaders when they came in, the best pit stop was turned in by Carl Edwards' crew. Here comes Allgaier for his final stop. Dave?
On the last run, they fixed the car for Justin, entry and exit. He said both of them were better. They needed to free up the center a little bit more, so that's going to be an air pressure adjustment already done on 2 of the 4 tires that are going on this race car. Full of Sunoco fuel, and Allgaier is gone.
As he pulls out 13.9, the race lead will cycle through to Carl Edwards, and that's exactly what we were talking about, guys, and he got the best of that deal.
Well, his pit crew really came through right there. They had an excellent right side tire change, and it came all the way back around to the left, and really, that 13-second stop, you can see just how much distance that is on the track between Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski.
Almost 5 seconds on the track, and it was a lot closer than that when this last round of pit stops started. How important is the money stop? I think you just saw the results on your screen. Now the question is, can Brad K and Kevin Harvick reel them in? Back here at the Carfax 250 at Michigan with 15 laps to go, Carl Edwards' lead over Brad Keselowski is 3 seconds, but the developing story during the commercial break is the falling back of Kevin Harvick. Whoa, and before we get to that, the 23 of Robert Richardson scrapes the wall, and no caution on the track, so only 1 caution. So and just as I say that, the caution does come out, and you can see the damage on the right side of the 23.
Yeah, he hammered that wall pretty good.
And he was running 28th at the time of the contact. We've got a total of 10 cars out of this race, and the big question mark is now Kevin Harvick. He was sliding back, guys. We'll check up on that, but first let's show you exactly what happened. Whoa, a little contact there, but Michael Annett and the 66 of Stephen Wallace. And then just a little bit further up, contact from the 66 into the 23.
That'll do it. You get hit like that, makes it difficult to hold on to, but hard racing here at Michigan.
All right, now let's get to the update on Kevin Harvick. Mike, what are you hearing down there?
Well, the big thing we've been hearing throughout the course of the weekend when it comes to this new generation car, the splitter. It's challenged these teams. Well, it's given Harvick and the 33 team a significant problem. Let's listen in.
No, maybe the splitter's laying on the ground.
It looks exactly the same, Kevin. Don't look like it's hanging down.
I don't know what happened here with this car, but it definitely was slower after they made that pit stop.
All right, let's go back.
That's a side window out of some car.
And that's Harvick.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
That might be some of his problem there.
We did not see that. Great camera work, guys.
Put a hole right there. I'm trying to see if there's a hole in the nose, but I don't see it. It looks like a piece of that window maybe right there.
Yep. There's definitely some damage there. If that is...
But Harvick certainly was slower that run. I don't know what the problem was.
All right, well, let's reset this for you because we're now down to 13 to go with Brad Keselowski second behind Carl Edwards. Trevor Bayne has moved up to third. Bernard is fourth. Kevin Harvick has now dropped back to fifth. And I guess the question I got to ask you, are you worried about that transmission?
No, it shouldn't be a problem here. It's just whenever he has to get the car back in gear on the pit stop. Right here, he won't even need to use the clutch to shift the third and fourth gear.
All right, so the clutch should be okay and not being a factor. Let's get you the 09 because that's our Aaron's lucky dog, John West Townley. And we are getting some takers on to pit road. Good call, Andy, as Trevor Bayne has come down, and so has the 33 and the 18 as well. Vince.
Well, they've still been working on this car. They're going to put another round in the track bar and also air pressure back in the right front. They haven't gotten it to where they want it to go, but they feel like they're getting a little bit better. Still plenty to do. They're 7th. Dave?
Trevor Bayne will take the tires. They're going to make just a slight adjustment for him on that run. He wasn't really happy with it, even though it was a very short run. Mike?
And the 33 is on pit road. They're going to work there, and it appears they're doing more work than just looking at the splitter. They've got the hood up. They're looking at the shocks as well. It appears it could be a bigger problem than what was first initially thought by Harvick. They're looking underneath, trying to make sure there's no damage they can quickly fix, trying not to go a lap down. The hood pins are now relatched, trying to get Harvick back out here before it's too late.
17 cars on the lead lap right now, the last being Ryan Truex. Remember, he had been running up front, but he was having handling issues. That's what sort of was his demise, as he kept falling back, but he is still on the lead lap. Harvick gets refired and now will pull back out and will fall back in, probably in that 17th, 16th position, somewhere in there. And as we scan through the field, we mentioned a lot of teams, all 10 cars out of this race. Danica Patrick still running, but it has been another struggling day for her. She's 30th right now, 4 laps down. I think we've updated you on just about everybody, all the players. We've given you the top 5. We're down to 11 laps to go. Next time by here at the Carfax 250. All right, back here at the Carfax 250, we have 10 laps remaining, and we're going to talk about the pit stops that the guys that did come in, and Trevor Bayne has now come back out in 9th position, and Kyle Busch is ahead of him now in 7th, and here's the reason why.
Trevor Bayne was the highest running car that made a pit stop right there, and he lost a spot, or actually a couple spots, but one of them to Kyle Busch, who had a great stop. His team doing a good job on pit road, 13.5 seconds, and you can see most of it on the left side for Trevor Bayne's team.
All right, let's update Kevin Harvick's situation. He's now shown in 16th position. He hits this piece out on track. Mike?
Well, you saw that piece of plexiglass Kevin Harvick hit on the racetrack. Well, here's part of it. They just dug this out of the grill of the car. The good news is for the 33, they found no problems with the shocks or the splitter.
Well, the biggest problem is he's, like we said, in 16th. Let's reset it for you because the top 6 cars did not stop. It's Edwards, Keselowski, Menard, Allgaier 4th, Logano, Colin Brown. Then the first to stop is Kyle Busch, and the green flag flies, and we are racing again with 9 laps remaining here at Michigan.
I want you to look at that Dodge engine pull.
Carl Edwards got a great jump. He actually got out front by about 3/4 of a car length. And here comes Brad Keselowski going to clear him.
That's incredible right there. That's just, when you see that, that's a lot of motor. Now you see 3 wide off the corner. Got some smoke off of Brendan Gaughan's car.
Yeah, he's got something going on. It could be a big problem if he can get over. Oh, yeah, he's got fire.
You're all good.
So it looks like the engine let go, and that would be the 2nd engine this week for that team. He was running 12th.
Yeah, I'd be surprised not to see a caution here. These cars have to run through that where he blew that engine.
Battles all over the track, and there is Kyle Busch. He was down on the apron on the restart. He's got Colin Brown giving him a little nudge, and here comes Stenhouse into the mix as well.
I'm kind of worried about them driving through where Brendan Gaughan blew up because he said it exploded. If there's not oil down there, there's probably pieces of metal.
Well, we're going to get our first idea. Yep, somebody brushed the wall there. Couldn't see exactly who.
That was the 6th of Stenhouse. See, Trevor Bayne had to get out of the throttle a little bit, lost a little bit of time.
Keselowski has opened up a 0.2 of a second lead and is trying to do what he did at the very beginning of the race, and that is check out on the field. It is Edwards and Allgaier and then Menard. That's your top 4. And now 7 laps remaining. A little bit further back, there's Reed Sorensen side by side with Colin Brown. Here comes the 88 of Sadler into the mix. Trevor Bayne right behind Sadler. On board with Colin.
Yeah, most of these guys either got some kind of tires on that last caution, so their cars handle a little bit better, trying to make as much as they can out of this.
Kyle Busch is the one doing the most with his tires. You can see right here, making a move on Menard into 3.
Now remember, he was the first on the 4 fresh tires, and he now is ahead of Menard, put him into 4th position.
When you talk about a dangerous driver, you put Kyle Busch on 4 tires with 10 to go, he can be dangerous.
Let's check in on Kevin Harvick. He is in 14th position. He restarted 16th, going around Ryan Truex now for 13th.
Yeah, they reported, Mike said that it was a good thing they didn't find anything. I think Kevin Harvick was hoping they would find something because there's still something wrong with this race car now.
Battle for 3rd is starting to heat up because Kyle Busch is coming oh so close to the 12 of Justin Allgaier. Next time by, there'll be 5 laps remaining, just 10 miles.
He's got a big run here. This pass should be relatively easy, but look how low he gets on the racetrack. He's completely off on the apron.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tougher than you think maybe because Allgaier looked like he's going to protect that outside, and that's going to make it more difficult for Kyle Busch to get a run on him off the corner.
Well, Keselowski was dominant at the beginning of this race. It looks like he's trying to dominate the last few laps. You saw the gap between 1st and 2nd there. Now Allgaier goes to the low side. Kyle goes with him, and Menard says, okay, see if I can make the high line work. Let's get more on the race leader, Dave Burns.
When Paul Wolfe talked to his driver about whether or not to pit on that last round of pit stops, Brad was thinking about coming and getting tires. Paul Wolfe said, I want to stay out because once we get back out in clean air, you can win this race. Paul told me this morning that one of the reasons he's still motivated, even though they've got a huge lead in the Drivers' Championship, they want to beat the 18 car in the Owners' Championship. It's a separate group of points, and right now Kyle Busch's 18 team leads that by 34. He said that's what motivates us. We can still get him. And he said, by the way, Brad, if we pit, the 18 will for sure stay out because they're in that same race.
I'll tell you one of the biggest reasons that 22 car stayed out is because they didn't want to make another pit stop with that clutch problem they've had. They've really dodged a bullet all day long with that thing, and the last thing they want to do is have to make another stop.
Yeah, that caution caught them up. They didn't have to worry about that clutch there, and they were 3 to 4 tenths faster every lap before that. They continued that pace now.
Here comes Kyle taking a peek again underneath the 12. Can't get it done, though. He just can't keep the momentum going. He slides back up, and now Menard comes down underneath Kyle.
Yeah, this might give Allgaier an opportunity to get up there for that 2nd spot with Carl Edwards.
Menard had the position at the stripe, but here comes Kyle again on the high side. While these 4 guys duke it out for those positions, Brad Keselowski saying, thanks, fellas, I'm seeing you.
It's 3 to go here, and Allgaier's trying to make it a Penske 1-2.
Doesn't get it done as they come down the backstretch. Carl Edwards holds on to the spot. Remember, Roush Fenway has 20 total wins here at Michigan in all 3 Touring Series. Check in on Kevin Harvick as he is picked up now to 10th as he's gotten around Trevor Bayne.
Well, not yet.
Let's go back to the battle. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. There's the gap with now 2 laps remaining, and Kyle's saying, time's running out. Let's go.
And Allgaier was in a tough position there. He wanted to try to make a move on Carl Edwards, but Kyle Busch just drove by him going into turn 1.
And instead of going for 2nd, he's 4th now, coming off of 2.
Kyle has won 9 of the 18 races he has raced in. This is race number 23 for the series. And the record he is co-holder with, Sam Ard, is 10 in a season. And that's the gap he's got to try and make up, and there's just not enough time left. It looks like he's going to get up to 2nd here as he goes underneath Carl. White flag is out. Carl says, I'm not ready to give it to you. 2 miles to go, and oh man, now he pushes him up a little.
Allgaier might could have an opening here if he sit back just a second.
Well, there's the gap if he can split the uprights. Kyle slides back up, slams the door shut. Down the backstretch.
Not quite. Looks like he left just enough room for Edwards.
Carl's got the position. Allgaier can't do anything about it. And here comes Brad Keselowski through turns 3 and 4. He makes it look easy on this last stretch as he comes down the front stretch.
Flag foundation, buddy. Nice job, guys. Congrats.
His 4th win of the season in the battle for 2nd. Who's going to get it at the stripe? It's Edwards ahead of Kyle Busch, then Justin Allgaier, Paul Menard, and Joey Logano, your top 6. Then Trevor Bayne, Truex, Stenhouse, Malsum, and Scott, and on down through the field. Michael Annett comes home in 16th. John West Townley, the last car on the lead lap, in 17th position. Mike, it's all yours.
And catching up with the winning crew chief, Paul Wolfe. Clutch problems throughout the day on pit roads. Somehow, though, you were able to overcome. How?
Well, I mean, it just shows we're a championship caliber team, and you know, when we have trouble, we're still able to pull through. And I'm just proud of everybody on this team. This Discount Tire, bring out the new Challenger to be this strong. It's just a great day for everybody at Penske, and I appreciate all the hard work.
How were you able to adapt so quickly to this new car just the second time out?
Well, I mean, it's just working hard. I mean, that's what it is. You got to work hard. You got to pay attention. It's a different car, but it's asking for different things. But, you know, if you do your homework, you can figure it out.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Guys, 22 team back in victory lane.
And it becomes a back-to-back winner here. And the most wins at Michigan, 2. Ryan Newman has 2, Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Todd Bodine, and now that man right there, Brad Keselowski.
Very patriotic celebration going on here.
8 different drivers had won the last 8 races here in the Nationwide Series at Michigan, but now a repeat winner.
I think that clutch still giving him trouble.
Yeah, this may not be the best burnout ever, but I don't think he's going to care that much.
You know, we heard in the Countdown show about the Dodge executives talking about how much bringing this new car out had really helped them, and their focus on this, and going to victory lane doesn't hurt anything either. Great job today by Brad Keselowski.
And Brad's still trying to get the car to fire and hopefully get enough of a clutch to get it into gear. We'll talk to him when we come back. As you can see, Brad did finally get the car engaged, and here's what he said on the radio.
There we go. I don't need no stinking clutch.
Well, let's take a look at the championship points lead. Even though Carl Edwards does finish second, he loses a little bit more ground, and the gap now 347. No changes in the top 10, and even Carl said it's going to be an awfully long shot for him. It's going to take major collapse by Brad, and there is certainly no collapse today as Keselowski goes back-to-back here at Michigan. He has made it to the winner's circle as the celebration is about to begin. And look at the smile on his face. Remember, just about 90 miles away is where he grew up. Dave, let's send it down to you.
And Marty, we started the day asking Brad if anything could top last year, and you told me one thing. Did it?
Yeah. This one was even harder, and you know, I lost the clutch and kind of killed the burnout there, but I was trying. I couldn't get it to run, but couldn't get out of the pit stall, and kept losing spots on pit road because of that, but just fought back from adversity with an awesome Dodge Challenger. These new cars are sweet to drive, and they're even better to drive when you got one as fast as Dodge gave me with this Challenger. So proud of everybody on this Discount Tire team, and you know, we want to win races going for the championship. We don't just want to coast through it, and we're racing as hard as we can for all these people that are working their butts off at Penske Racing, and for those fans that support us up here, especially here in Michigan. These are my guys, and love every one of them. So it's awesome to win in front of them.
Now, about those wins, Brad, your crew chief wanted to talk you into staying out for the Owners' Championship idea. How bad did you want to stay out because that clutch was so gone?
Well, you know, I wasn't sure what the right way was to go. Knowing that the 18's behind us, he can see what we're doing, do the opposite, and naturally take advantage of it. But our car was just that good. It didn't matter.
Brad, I know you grabbed the American flag because your foundation is supporting a big group this weekend.
Yeah, we've got my first event for the foundation. I just started the Checkered Flag Foundation tomorrow for wounded warriors, you know, a bunch of soldiers that have been serving that have been hurt or wounded, and can't wait to support them, and Little American Flag action for them as well.
What do you think they're going to think of what you did today?
I hope they're supportive. They're a great group. I've met a few of them already, and can't wait to have some fun with them tomorrow.
Brad Keselowski takes Dodge to victory lane for the 4th time in 2010.
Brad Keselowski.
It was a close one. Carl Edwards chased him all the way to the line, and what was the difference? I mean, when you look at 200ths of a second, there's not much of a difference, but what made the difference today at the end?
200 seconds between me and Brad? What'd you say? No, 200s between me and Kyle. Oh. Yeah, we had a really well-balanced Valvoline Ford Mustang. I thought if that last caution didn't come out, Brad was so much faster, and I thought, man, this is going to time just right, and this is going to be a heck of a battle at the end. The caution came out, though, and Brad and those guys, man, they just took off. So congrats to them. We raced side by side, very clean all day, and it was a fun race. I just wish our car was a little faster, but No, for having a new car and for coming out here with the new Mustang and finishing second, being that strong, I felt like it was a pretty decent day.
Yeah, there was a lot of questions, a lot of unknowns coming into this race today. How would you evaluate how the car raced today?
I thought the car raced really well, and I noticed some teams struggled and some teams did really well with it. And I think as we go on, we learn a little bit more. It'll become very, very competitive like the Cup Series, but we just didn't have enough for them today. I'm pretty excited about tomorrow, though. I think we got a good Aflac Fusion for tomorrow, so we'll just go race.
We'll look forward to bringing that one to you fans as well. Carl Edwards, second today.
Well, and we mentioned earlier the owner points. Well, it was 30 coming in. It is now down to 4. And you notice Gibbs and Penske, between the two of these teams, they have now won 14 of the last 18 nationwide races. And Dr. Jerry Punch is with the man who finished third, Kyle Busch.
After what would have been a frustrating weekend, Kyle Busch manages somehow, Kyle, to come back and bring this car into the top 5. Take us through that last pit stop and that charge toward the front.
Just 4 tires was pretty good there at the end, but you know, can't thank Jason and the guys enough. I mean, they did work their butts off all weekend, and we missed it pretty bad. We didn't have a third-place car at all. I mean, we just fought all day and tried to do the best we could with the Z-Line Designs Camry and gave it a run for the money there at the end, but just real unfortunate that we're so far behind on the COT program.
What happened with you and Carl? You guys are side by side those last couple laps. Looked like you might get him, and he comes back, and you come forward.
Ain't nothing but side drafting at Michigan, same old stuff.
And what happened with the splitter? I know you guys had some issues like mid-race.
Yeah, just when you drag it, you wear it out, and you don't have any more front downforce.
All right, Kyle Busch charging back for a top 5.
And Doc, Danica Patrick brought it home 27th. I know that this may not have been the run you were looking for, but how would you assess it?
I guess I'm kind of glad I just held on to it for the first half of the race. It was very hard to drive. I mean, it was loose all the way around, getting in the middle, getting off. I felt like I was just tiptoeing around out there, and it's a shame. We really, you know, the Hot Wheels car was good all weekend. It really was, and I really wanted to do well. It's their paying out for the year for me, and it had just been going well. We were in the top 20 the whole time, all weekend practice. Qualifying, we had a little loose moment, like I said earlier, that would have put us still up there in the top 20 again. And you know, I think by the end of the race we were kind of running those kinds of laps, but it just, you know, we were just so loose to start that we weren't able to stay up there. And you know, unfortunately, it's you know, it's kind of the way it's been for me this year. The first half of the race, I learned what I need for the last half of the race. So I think, needless to say, we're going to tighten it up a whole bunch for the next one so that we can at least just run. I mean, if it was tight, I could have at least run around the top and just, you know, use the wall to drive around. But it was really loose.
Well, Doc, at least you got to love the attitude. Danica still has a smile on her face. The next time she'll be on the track in the Nationwide Series, Dover.
And that should be a fun one for her as well. Now I'm with Justin Allgaier, and Justin, the day finished fine but began poorly. Tell us what happened on lap 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, I kind of misunderestimated the splitter on this car and the downforce the way they were. And, you know, Ryan Newman somehow or another got into the fence, and I was right behind him. And had the wheels cut left, it was just still going right. But all in all, it was a great day for the Verizon Dodge Challenger. I couldn't be happier of Penske Racing and Dodge for debuting this new car. It's just a lot of fun to run, and Nationwide does such a great job with this series. I hope the fans enjoyed the race, and just thank God for giving me the ability to come out and do this.
What are your impressions of the new car? Second time you've run it. I know a lot of guys said the jury was still out after Daytona, but what do you think about it now?
You know what? This car is awesome. That was probably one of the most fun races I've ever run, short of winning the race at Bristol earlier this year. And, you know, I got to say congratulations to Brad and Dodge and getting in victory lane. We should have been in victory lane at Daytona, and unfortunately we just couldn't seal the deal. So got in victory lane here, two top 5 finishes for Penske Racing and for Dodge. And I feel like that this car really kind of cleans the slate and opens up a new avenue for all these teams to really work on. And I feel like that all the guys at Penske Racing ought to hold their heads very high this week because they did their job for sure.
Well said, indeed. Justin Allgaier, 4th today and 4th in the points. Vince?
Standing by with Paul Menard, another one of those Fords in the top 5. A couple of them in the top 5 with Carl Edwards. And good day today. How was it from your seat?
It was a lot of fun. Our Mustang drove really good all afternoon. The guys at Roush Yates made a little bit more horsepower for us this weekend. We ran up front all day. The cars are a lot of fun to drive. We didn't get as aero tight as what you get with the old style cars, I felt. And they suck up really good. It's a lot of fun. You can run up top, get good runs on people, then pass somebody, then they stick right with you because you're drafting. It's a lot of fun. Really proud of the guys. Awesome pit stops. Pushin and the boys did a really good job all weekend. I hit the wall yesterday. They fixed it and had a good car.
Yeah, these guys have really done a nice job of late. Paul Menard finishing 5th today in the 98.
And at the beginning of the day, we mentioned about 6 of the top 8 were nationwide regulars, and 3 of them were on the young side, like 18, 19, and 21 years old. We'll talk to some of those guys when we come back. First, let's talk about what's happening later tonight. Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals qualifying tonight, and Ashley Force Hood, #1, going into today's round of qualifying in Funny Car. Finals tomorrow at 10 Eastern, both on ESPN2. Then NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action, the Carfax 400, right here from Michigan International tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN, with NASCAR Countdown starting at noon Eastern. And then we'll have the Nationwide Series under the lights at Bristol. Oh, yeah, we're going to Bristol. Friday, 7 Eastern on ESPN. So as the trophies presented and the fans start filing out, getting ready for tomorrow's race, we'll be back with a lot more. As we mentioned, we'll talk to some of the young guns.
We continue our post-race coverage of the Carfax 250 at Michigan. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. And as the Victory Lane celebration continues, we remind you to go to Goodyear.com and show your thanks and help support our troops. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Good to have them with us today here at Michigan International Speedway. And inside the pit studio with Rusty and Brad, listening to some of the post-race interviews from the drivers on this second race of the next generation car. 2 things stand out to me. A lot of guys saying fun to drive. That's good. But like we talked about before, so many unknowns and so much to learn for these teams before we see this car again at Richmond September 10th.
Well, they're going to continue to stay learning. I mean, this car is it was a lot of fun to drive, like everybody said, but they do have a lot of work to get them handling consistently. Most of the day, I heard everybody saying, I'm really loose. Even the fast cars were saying, I'm really loose. They've got to understand what's going on, because a track like this is semi-close as Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's where we're going to see this car running the last race of the year. The next race is a short track, completely different setup, so these guys are in a huge learning procedure with this car right now.
Yeah, they really are, and today is one of the second time they get an opportunity to build some data, build some notes, and go forward. We saw the race get spread out a little bit back in the pack, but we did see some pretty interesting racing up front.
Oh, yeah.
So now, so there's a lot to take out of it. The aero situations, how the car hits the splitter, a lot to learn, but I thought it was a good learning experience for all involved today.
You know, I was thinking watching Brad Keselowski celebrate in Victory Circle today. Here he is, the guy with the big championship lead, picking up his 4th win of the season, his 10th win overall in this series. And wasn't it just a couple of years ago we were talking one of the new fresh faces coming to prominence at NASCAR's top levels. And now we're watching his car get pushed out of Victory Circle toward tech inspection after a big win. Had some other young guys whose names are just starting to come to prominence have good races today. One is with Mike Massaro.
And that, of course, being Ryan Truex, a career best 12th place finish today, but kind of a dicey moment there in the closing laps. Brendan Gaughan losing a motor right in front of you. What was that like?
Scary. I couldn't see anything, and I pretty much just held on for dear life there, and I thought the race was over there, but I got it back under me and ended up with 12th, and I just had a lot of fun today. This car is really fun, a lot of fun to drive, and I learned a lot about aero stuff and how to side draft and take the air away from people and things like that. So it was a good day, and can't thank MWR and everyone enough for giving me this opportunity, and Napa Auto Parts for coming on, tow truck in a box, just everyone that's got me this far. And had a lot of fun today, and just can't say how much I appreciate everything everyone's done for me.
No doubt learning these cars, a bit of a challenge. One of the challenges is always pit road for a rookie. What was it like trying to get out of your pit box today?
Not good. With these cars, they're really long gears, and first gear is really long, so I'm used to the short tracks where you got real short gears and you can just dump the clutch and take off, and here you got to really rev it up more. And I stalled at the first pit stop, and my brother came on the radio and told me, taught me some stuff on how I can get out of the pit box better, and it helped. So got to thank him for that, and just a good day.
What types of things, I know you communicated with your brother throughout the course of the weekend, what types of things did you discuss that helped you today?
What I said before about learning the air, that side of things, it's really a lot more important than I thought it'd be. When you get behind a car, it just picks your speed up so much, and you can do so much with the air, and others can take it away from you. And when you're following somebody, you'll lose the nose. So I learned a lot today, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I was having fun racing up there in second for a while, following Keselowski, and we kind of dialed our car out a little bit, being a new car, and we've never run it before. We weren't really sure what would work and what didn't work, so learned a lot today, and come back next time and hopefully be even stronger.
Well, Vince, get used to seeing this kid. I got the funny suspicion we're going to hear a lot more about Ryan Truex.
Yeah, it's amazing when you talk an 18-year-old there and a 19-year-old here with Trevor Bayne, a guy that ran in the top 5 most of the day, ended up 11th. What happened there at the end?
Well, that caution just killed us there at the end. I think our team, our Pet Care Toyota, deserved the top 5 all day long. I mean, we were just so good on the long runs. Short runs, we struggled. You know, we talked about it at the end of the day. Hey, if a caution comes out with 15 to go, we need to make some changes to make this car hook up. And we made an attempt at it. You know, we came down, took 4 tires just like Kyle did. He managed to get back to 3rd, but we got caught in behind some other cars, and the adjustments weren't all the way there. We were just way too loose at the very end of the race, and kind of like it was at the beginning on short runs. So we needed that long run at the end. Too bad it wasn't about a 40 more lap race, because would have been there again. That car was just really strong. I was so proud of everybody at Diamond Waltrip Racing for the new car that they gave us this weekend. Everybody's kind of coming into these races blind, but to finish in the top 12 with both the cars, I mean, that says something for the whole operation there.
At one point when you were racing with Kyle, he radioed in and said the 99 is loose fast, and that's the way he wanted to be. Maybe give a little description of what that feels like when you're the man in the seat of a loose, fast car.
It feels great because you're going by everybody. You know, that's the best time of the day for us, was when we could run the top, be loose, about the time we got by Kyle, and we were still fast. And that's what these cars, you have to have in them. You know, they've got enough side force to hold it, and that's what we had to learn on the test day here Thursday. Every time we try to tighten up the car because it felt loose, we'd slow down. So these things just have to be sideways, and you got to learn how to drive them. It's a new experience, but it's a lot of fun to be behind the wheel behind one.
How well do you feel like you have a handle on it now after spending this weekend, having a top 5 car? You didn't get the top 5 result, but it's got to be encouraging as you go to the next stop.
I got to be honest, I was a little worried going into the race, but to run top 5 all day and be battling with Cub drivers who have a lot of experience in this style car says a lot for our team, and it says a lot for the learning curve that we've picked up here. You know, I think we're going to be pretty tough to handle, hopefully. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think our team's done a great job so far, and they're going to continue to do that. Looking forward to Bristol next weekend, going back to our home track where we were really strong last time, so hopefully we'll have a good stretch of races here coming up.
Trevor Bayne, 11th today, but even a better run than an 11th place finish would indicate.
Vince, I'll tell you what, every time I listen to that young man, every time I talk to him, all I can think of is he's going to be big in this business.
He's already fast.
Yeah.
You know, he's learning. He's spent the first part of the year getting all the mistakes out of the way. You know, we tore up a few race cars here and there. But I've talked to Cup drivers about him, and they all say the one thing about him is he's got that thing, and that is fast, and he's going to be really good.
He's got a lot of confidence, and that's what you got to have. He's got speed, he's got confidence, he's got what it takes to win races on a consistent basis. And like he said today, a big morale booster for him to be able to compete against those Cup guys. I think if he takes anything out of today, he's going to go back and say, hey, I ran with those guys. I was running side by side with them. They didn't blow my doors off, and man, am I loving this new car because it got me in the hunt.
And, you know, the reality is that's what this Nationwide Series does best.
Yeah.
People talk about Cup drivers in the Nationwide Series and should there, shouldn't there be, and all that kind of thing. But think about what Trevor Bayne just said. At 19 years old, by the way.
Yeah, the grand old age.
He got the chance to get out there and race against Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick on a track like this today, and he learned so much from this. And it's such a great opportunity for these young guys that this series still presents, even though the economic times are tight and it's harder for an owner to give a young driver a shot. That's still the benefit of this series for them, is the experience they get against these guys.
Well, I can't argue that point whatsoever. I mean, you have certain days that are magical days, no doubt about that. Most of the time, the Cup guys put it to you, but every now and then you put it to them, like happened to Trevor today. He had a great run, and this is something that's sticking with him. You know, hope he can keep that momentum up. Like I said a little earlier when we were talking, this particular car, the next time it's going to run is on a short track over in Richmond, Virginia. Now, Richmond, Virginia, that's totally different, guys.
Yeah.
But then we're going to go to Charlotte, North Carolina, another 1.5 miles, which is a totally different 1.5 miles, which we just ran today. So a lot of changing things with this new car, but I like what NASCAR did with the schedule. They kind of moved around all these different tracks to give all these guys a snapshot of what they're going to need for next year.
I know what you're trying to say, but I can hear people saying to you right now, this is a 2-mile track, but it's the same style.
2-mile track, 2 miles. To me, it drives like 1.5 miles, and I apologize. I did make a mistake. Keep the emails and keep the hate mail back with you.
No. But it's the same style of track to a driver and a team, right?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Exactly. And here's something else Trevor said. He can't wait to get to Bristol. That'll make him close to your heart. There'll be a lot of people can't wait to get to Bristol next week. And as we check out the upcoming races for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, look at the variety of tracks.
Man, look at that. We're going to Bristol. We're going to short track. We're going to road course. We're going to one of the fastest racetracks in all of racing, Atlanta Motor Speedway, and then back to a short track, then the Monster, baby. We're going to get a little bit of everything in there.
Join us at some of the races.
Get you
There's
some.
how you find out. There you go. More post-race coverage from Michigan in a minute.
Carfax 250 in Michigan is brought to you by Carfax. Free at your used car dealer. Just say, show me the Carfax. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. And Viagra.
The interviews and photos continue for the race winner Brad Keselowski at Michigan International Speedway. Home state win for him. It was not a trouble-free day as we go back upstairs to Marty, DJ, and Andy.
It's the first time that Brad Keselowski has won from the pole in his 10 victories in the Nationwide Series, but this could have turned into a real disaster. I mean, they dodged a couple of bullets on pit road.
Yeah, dodged a major bullet right here. You see, has a problem getting this car going with the clutch not engaging or disengaging properly, and he loses one spot on pit road. This one under green, he lost some time on pit road and actually lost 4 or 5 spots that had they not had a caution, it would have been hard to make up.
Yeah, what he was actually having to do was put the car in gear and then hit the starter to make it go that way because the clutch was of no use to him whatsoever. Still couldn't even do it at the end of the race.
So to explain more, let's check into the Craftsman Tech Center with Tim Brewer.
Thanks, guys. You know, we've got hydraulic clutches in the cars that activate the system, but when a driver actually pushes the pedal in, he's going down like this. Now, the guys like that clutch to engage coming off about right here. But when he had the problem, he's going to have to go back and work the pedal ratio out with the master cylinder itself. But I tell you what a lot of people don't know. He actually came in, knocked the car out of gear. And when the left side of the car came down, Brad would reach up, cut the ignition switch off, cram it in first gear, hit the ignition, hit the starter, and that's what got him out of the pit. And might I add, he was pretty good at it 3 times.
He certainly was, and there it is after heading for post-celebration. Let's quickly check in with 8th place, Reed Sorensen. Doc?
Yeah, Marty, another top 10 for the 32 car. Reed, how was your day?
It was a pretty good day. We started out, the car was really, really good the first run, moving through the field. And after that, our second run was good. And then I think after that, we may have had a tire go down. So overall, good day for the Dollar General car. I think we were the best non-Cup affiliated team. So just proud of all the guys. And we'll just take what we learned from here, since this is kind of our only test, and kind of translate it into Charlotte and apply what we learned today. So just real proud of the DG team. And like I said, we're the best non-Cup affiliated team, so I'm happy about that.
13th top 10 of the year. Dave?
Doc, one of the new guys in the new Nationwide car, Ricky Stenhouse, finished 13th today. Sum it up for me.
It was a long day. It was we were really tight center off, getting on the throttle. Could never really get the handle of it, but our 6 Ford Mustang ran really well, qualified really good, and just glad to come home with a decent finish, and looking forward to getting City Financial back on the car at Bristol with the Ford Fusion.
And a whole race car today. That's a strong statement by this team today. Alan?
All right, David, thank you. And a reminder that ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues tomorrow night with an NL East game from Citi Field in New York. Raul Ibanez and the Phillies take on David Wright and the New York Mets on ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern. Game also available on ESPN3.com. And speaking of Sunday, we look ahead now to tomorrow's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race, 1 Eastern, the Carfax 400 on ESPN. Our coverage starts at noon Eastern with NASCAR Countdown. Casey Kane and Jimmy Johnson on the front row. Can Casey keep it going in a lame duck situation, and can Jimmy kind of get back on track?
Well, I think Casey can keep it going. I mean, as a driver, you don't know about all this stuff going on outside the car. You just want to win. He's got a big engine. He's got a good car. He's on the front row, Brad.
Yep.
This cat can absolutely win.
He absolutely can, but when that white flag falls tomorrow, you better be looking for that 33 car. He's going to have a great race tomorrow. I got a feeling.
Clint Boyer.
Yep.
Clint starting in 3rd. Kevin Harvick, in studio guest during NASCAR Countdown, the only guy who can clinch a place in the chase on Sunday. And again, that starts at noon Eastern with Countdown, the race at 1 Eastern, the Carfax 400 on Sunday from here at Michigan International Speedway. Weather forecast pretty good last time I checked it, so we'll look forward to a great day of racing here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Michigan native Brad Keselowski celebrating a win today. ESPN News is coming up next, and after Keselowski celebrates this one, he'll regroup and be back with us tomorrow for the Sprint Cup race from Michigan. ESPN News is next. Thanks for watching.
Telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.